Just like when I was in New York last time. Were you there when the Corona got so big?
The Corona?
Oh, yeah.
I know. I
And so I was, we were there, and like it was one place that made it, like Corona, and so it was the Corona, it was down the road, but there's one that was like next to our friend's apartment, and British village. It's not as good, but at least have it. So yeah.
So you gotta check it out.
I was like, so yeah. It's working. Yeah, I mean, I've only done it once because. You ever like Google like why they changed it? So some it's funny like there's like conspiracy theory. Some say it's because of the COVID. Yeah, it's a pretty funny conspiracy theory to read on like why the name is now because it was like serendipity and then two and now it's three. And so it's like a funny conspiracy theory.
No, I'm saying because where was it at?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But this wasn't what we had up before.
Yeah, because she has admin privileges.
She's still working.
No, she said we're in.
Got it.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's syncing still. It looks like it.
Well, but I mean, it says the event hasn't even begun yet because it doesn't
that's right.
kick in until every time. But I was saying, then will it give us that screen that we had yesterday?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm just wondering. So I want to make sure that we're in. I want to make sure that that's pulling the right camera.
It did. It
Oh,
was
yeah,
pulling
yeah.
that right.
Okay, and then this is on. Wait, is this muted?
If you go to see the Google Hangouts tab right to the right.
Then that shows us.
The one with
It
the
shows
red.
it on.
That's the one I want to see. Okay, yeah. Okay, so we're good. Okay, so we're
You go to
broadcasting.
Google accounts and click that off, or click, that
This?
last tab. No, that last tab. Last
Where?
tab. Right up there. Click it. Yeah, there we go. And then go back to the unhangouts. No,
What's this? I don't know where I've never used this before. You do it. Is this muted though when it's looking?
Yeah, when it's flashing,
when it's
Okay,
flashing.
so right now it's
muted,
on?
so
it's on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll just kind of do that.
So if you click it, when it's
And it would.
flashing. Which again, these things are.
Yeah. It's funny because I actually had somebody email me this week saying, "Hey, we heard you had one of those. Can we actually use it?" I was like, "Nope,
Yeah.
sorry."
I have mine. And
Are they like really expensive? Is that
I think
why?
that our videographer took it downstairs.
I mean, everybody knows. Yeah, if you know you have one, like people come and steal it or borrow it for extended time, they have to track them down.
It's funny. I love those. I wish y'all's video program. I wish we could like do a bigger tour of that and like because like what we had is we had this really old guy that was our videographer. He actually went to American University, I think, a while here in the 70s, and he was like documentary films. Like,
Oh wow.
But he's been doing the same job for 35 years. So it's sort of institutionalized. Like he did the same stuff.
Right,
Like,
he's the guy. That would be why you had a guy like
yeah, and like his name, and like literally we get this new director came in and he just shape up stuff and he just like I thought his whole film life was just to like terrorize this guy. And, like, it's like he had an entire 2 walls of beta cams.
Oh, really?
And then like just like the old tapes.
Yeah, the old school ones.
And then like, I
Yeah.
remember one time like we did something and he brought me a mini TV and he was like, "Here's your copy of your video." And I was like, for your backup." So I was like,
A
like a little
CD?
bit, no, like a mini DV, like a little thing you put in the camera.
Oh,
Yeah,
you
the
really?
little tape. Remember those little mini ones that came in for the
Yeah,
tape?
and I was like,
You're like, well, I didn't know what to do with this.
"Yeah, thanks. Let me just put this in my computer." Like,
Yeah. That's not gonna work.
Hilarious.
And so he finally retired like this year, and so
Were you the guy?
well, we brought in this girl named Kristen who has been up in DC here. She was a producer for Discovery Channel.
Oh, awesome. That's
but-
perfect.
Yeah, but I think she's leaving because she's having a baby and her husband's a professor. And I think she's only short term.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, and so I thought like she was gonna be the savior, and I think she's leaving now. So I'm like,
You get to start from scratch now.
My pregnant social climber was here yesterday. She went to last night. So she's having
said she was-
she's having a
Yeah, that was-
baby.
It's impressive that she came here yesterday.
I know.
So she just wanted to walk around, I guess.
Well, I told her it was mandatory. I told her, I actually emailed her tonight. I was like, please do virtual. Like, if you were, like, she left because her back was hurting and stuff, and I was like, Yeah, she.
But at that point, you gotta walk anyways.
To get it circulation.
Oh, is that how it works?
Yeah. They say like if you're close to due date or if you miss your due date, start walking.
And they'll kind of juice it.
Yeah.
Get
She
you
was due
going.
next week, so she was hoping to make it at least a little bit more.
And then where does she live close by?
She lives about an hour away in.
She's that far?
Yeah, she's way out in Maryland.
Does she take the metro
Wow.
every day?
She takes she metro to the sorry.
She takes
bus
a
to
train.
the shuttle,
Oh, she doesn't.
and then, there's a Mount Vernon campus, so she takes a bus to that, and then there's a shuttle from that campus over here. So.
Wait, where's the Mount Vernon campus?
Mount Vernon campus is in Maryland. It's kind of on the way to the DC Temple. It's up towards that area.
What city is it in?
Near Chevy Chase, I think.
Okay.
So she just has to. I mean, I guess it's a good job, but she just wants to do that for her.
And you have villages two different communities.
I wish we could. Because I could.
Do what you do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, unless I absolutely want to talk to everyone, I usually just sit. We all just sit at our desk and I talk to everybody. So why should I? Yeah, I have my headphones in every day. I communicate with no one. If I do communicate with you, it's over Skype.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chat Skype.
Yeah, that's how
we
we
do.
communicate. We don't come to. I mean,
Well, it's interesting.
When you have the ability to do something like a Skype, I mean, it's not
It is
that much
Facebook.
different anyway. So yeah, it's
I mean,
you're not losing.
I'm trying to convince her to do it. She's very like, sweet person.
yeah, that's my only.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, especially given the fact that you guys are doing online stuff and it's outside of the traditional experience, like there's no reason you shouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah.
And that's what you're creating, something like that anyway.
Yeah, I don't have to be a physical. Why do you have to come to work with this physical computer?
Yeah.
Like everything because everything we do is stored in the cloud.
And you can access everything you need to.
Yeah, because for that same reason you can access everything. So it's literally using a shell on accessing the office. And Tuesdays I have meetings back to back, but every other day I have no meetings.
Oh, see this.
Because everyone's like, "Are you free?" I'm like, "Yeah, you live a Tuesday."
You live a Tuesday. Yeah. So you're right. It's like, what's the point then? Having you going? Do they let you do it a lot or not?
Every once in a while, if I have to go home.
Okay, so it's more of like if you need it, you can do it. But they don't. It's not the norm. Gotcha.
Yes. Finished it, that's the problem.
Do what happened? What happened?
We're gonna grab our coffee and donuts.
You're getting coffee for everyone.
Oh, I am.
Coffee and donuts. Chuck also. Just tell Brian we made. It's under Starbucks. I'm sorry.
Who's you with that for yesterday?
Oh, yeah. Because we had some one day people yesterday. Are we good? All right, maybe we should get started. Yeah. Travis, yeah, we've seen a lot.
Hey Tiffany, do you need Do you have any PowerPoints or anything you want to show for the panel?
Should we need it on this now?
I'll let you check it out.
Oh, you can read that stuff
Yeah,
first.
so actually, why don't you switch around?
We're on 5 days, that's even better. And what I'll probably do is, I'll make this.
That's not very
That way you don't have to do it. Does that work?
Yeah.
Once you pull them up, just tell me which one. I'll just- That works.
It's interesting. It's just part of what it does. So.
All right, we'll move this over. Yeah.
I mean, it's not that important, but anyway, we just noticed that it is.
I don't know. It's kind of annoying.
I didn't pick up on it.
Yeah, it was like that all day yesterday too.
It's okay. We're good.
Let me see.
I can tell you if you pull up, go down and pull up the apps and pull up.
Oh, the apps. Okay.
I'll tell you if it's here. Pull up
What was it called again? It was the.
like FaceTime or the photo booth or something like that, so it can see your camera.
Yeah, but that's gonna be this camera here, not that one. Will it? Or will it still pull on that one? Nope. See, now it's pulling on that one.
Yeah, go to. Well, I know if you pull photo.
You know, yeah. Let's just get started because I think this isn't that big of a deal.
Okay.
Okay, I think we're okay. To be honest, I mean it's
got to be Hangout. Okay.
No, look at that. So it is going correctly.
Okay.
maybe just on the Google Hangout it's an opposite view. I don't know.
Just so because you're supposed to
Yeah.
be seeing yourself, maybe that's why.
Yeah.
See, on her, have her.
Okay, can you guys work on that quietly? While we
Yeah,
get
no, it's
started?
all right.
It's the right one.
Just that one. Okay, you want to flip that one? Oh, you're
We're
working.
good. Yeah, we're good. All right. I think we are set and ready to go. Welcome to the second day of our conference. I know. Eyes on me. I was just kidding. Yeah, I know, right? I know. I need my little rainmaker that I had in kindergarten. Welcome back. I'm so excited. To be honest, this has been so enriching, and then yesterday's discussion was fantastic. So thank you all for coming back. I hope today is just as enriching, and we have some really great topics today. Welcome to our virtual folks online. I think we had a couple more join the virtual team that transitioned from this team. We had somebody that wasn't feeling too well this morning, so hope Kamiko's feeling better. And but we're going to go ahead and get started. Here's our schedule for today. It's up here on the board. It's a nice half day for us, so hopefully you get a chance to enjoy what hopes to remain a sunny day to some extent, much better than yesterday. So we're going to start today with the panel discussion. We have three folks who are going to be on the panel, Tiffany Reardon, Travis Thurston, and Ed Queen. So we'll invite them to kind of come up and start to get situated. We're going to be talking about team structure and process. I think this is going to be an interesting discussion. A lot of us have a lot to say on that. Some of us are very new. Some of us have been around for a while, so there's a lot to gain from each other. We'll follow that up with a brainstorm session. Maybe we'll just do a standing like stretch before, in between. I think we need that. I realized yesterday we didn't do that enough, so let's do that today. And then we'll have a half-an-hour discussion brainstorm on that. And then we'll have a break. Then we'll have a working session. This is where our leadership will jump up and we'll start to talk about what we've been doing the past, since July. That's when we initially started. So a lot has happened in a few months, and this conference is kind of a witness of that. So we're excited to share with you what we've got in store. And then we'll wrap it up, and at 12 o'clock you'll be on your way, and you're welcome to join an informal group. Whoever is still remaining and would like to go grab lunch, we'll find a place to go do that. So I'm going to turn the time over to Tyler. Do you want to start kind of directing all of this, and we can go from there? Oh, Chandra, maybe.
Cool. Yeah, we're gonna set this up real quick. We may need to grab it.
And fixed.
Put it in a chair. And then the only thing else we gotta do is edit, we'll pull those sites up, and then we can start. Okay, if that works.
There you guys go. And we're set. Okay. And that will give us some space.
yeah. This tab.
It's thinking. It's wanting to think.
There it is.
So, maybe we can start while it's pulling that up. If you guys want to introduce yourself, let's pull your from.
You want me to start? Okay. Well, I'm from Kennesaw State University, and I have nothing to show you, so I'm just going to talk. So we have a really big team. We've got a kind of university, like a big office for the university itself, the Distance Learning Center, and they have several offices out of them, like new learning models where they do MOOCs and digital badges and stuff, and then they've got the like regular just online classes and programs for the university. They've got adult learning. They've got the testing center and stuff like that. For the standard online classes for the university, we have instructional designers in each college. I think we have 13 colleges with our merge with Southern Poly. That's another. Sorry, I forget that not everyone's from Georgia. We just merged with another university about 15 minutes from us. So we now have 13 colleges. We've got instructional designers in each, except 3 of them share an ID because they don't have a lot of online classes. We also have online coordinators or directors in each college. And so I am one of the college designated. I am in the College of Humanities and Social Sciences. I have a director in my office who is just above me. And then we've got an undergrad student, a grad student, and an administrative assistant. In the college itself, we do, the university itself does quality matters reviews on internal reviews on all online courses or they cannot be taught. We also do 3-year re-reviews on all courses or they cannot continue to be taught. And for my college, I do all of their 3-year re-reviews and some initial reviews. So a huge chunk of my job is quality matters, quality matters, quality matters. Each semester we do various workshops to get new courses built. And I've noticed that a lot of the people here at this conference build their courses for their faculty. We do not do that at KSU. We teach them to build themselves so that they can sustain their courses themselves. So that's kind of where the workshops play in. We've got our first workshop is the Build a Web Course workshop. It won the 2010 Online Learning Consortium Faculty Development Award, and then the university itself won the 2015 one. And so BWC is our main workshop where we introduce what online classes are, how QM fits into it, all the tools that they could use, and it's kind of built as experience it as a student and then learn how to use it as a faculty kind of model so that they can see it as both a student and a faculty member. And so that's our first workshop. They have to build a course along with it, and we help them in that. And then we've got subsequent workshops after that for if they want to do more, if they want to learn more about how to make their courses better, if they want to build more courses, things like that. So let me think if I'm forgetting anything. I think that's pretty much the bulk of my job and what I do. So.
All right, I'm Travis Thurston. I'm a senior instructional designer at Utah State University. To give you an idea of what I do, my 2 main functions are to oversee the development of our online courses at USU, and then I also oversee the faculty development at USU. We have a centralized unit within the academic and instructional services at USU, and then we have several small teams that are kind of built in there. And I work in the team that is the Center for Innovative Design and Instruction. We also have a team that's technology or teaching and learning technologies, and a media services team. So we actually work very closely with each other. Although we are separate teams, our workspaces kind of overlap, which I actually like. It helps us to work and collaborate better. As far as our institution goes, who we serve, we're a land grant institution, and so we have our main campus is the very northern top of Utah. Main campus has about 15,000 students. In total, we have over 20,000. There's two other residential campuses in Utah, and then many other regional campuses spread throughout the state. And we serve all of those campuses. We have a team of 6 instructional designers, mostly in Logan at our main campus. And then we have a couple that roam to the different regional campuses. One of my, I don't know, how many of you have heard of Kenneth Ware? Kenneth Ware? Anyone? Couple? So Kenneth Ware is a built-in LTI that we have that was built in-house by my colleague Kenneth Larson. And it was actually very fortuitous that he even came to our team. He was hired on as a student worker. He was in our ITLS program, which is where students study to be instructional designers. And he happened to know how to program. It was just a skill he had when he came in. And so from a student worker, he's been hired on full-time as an instructional developer. And so he codes all sorts of amazing tools for us to use as instructional designers. Anyway, that's kind of basically what I do and our team.
So my name is Ed Queen, and I thought I would just tell a little bit about our team and the process that we follow, just really quickly. But first of all, I just wanted to start by sharing that I'm from Johns Hopkins University, and I thought I would share this this funny picture because this is kind of a running joke at the university. In fact, this was from an April Fool's joke that was done several years ago. Because I guess some people get tired of hearing people say the Johns without the S, because there really is an S on it. And it was the guy's name, Johns Hopkins, the one that donated the land. Long story, but anyway, so now if anybody ever asks, it says John Hopkins, you can correct him on that. I work for Engineering for Professionals, and just to give an idea of where that fits in the overall Johns Hopkins institution, Johns Hopkins is a part-time master's degree program within the overall Whiting School of Engineering. So there's the School of Engineering that has their full-time master's degree program, their undergraduates, and then there's this program EP where we offer part-time master's degree programs for working professionals. This is a little bit outdated, but we've got 19 degree fields, more than 450 courses. We have 8 different locations around Maryland that we offer classes plus online. And just a little bit of an idea of the makeup of EP. So we have, about 3,500 students. Out of all those students, about a little more than half of those are in-state, meaning in Maryland, with the other half either being out of state and just a handful of international students. Here's just some interesting facts about our students. The average age is 32, 24% female. We have close to 500 faculty, and about a fourth of those teach online. And most of our students have taken online classes at some point during their time as a EP student. And the last graphic that I just wanted to show really quickly is just to cover our process, just very, very quickly, a high-level view of our our process. That's pretty small. Let's see if we can. In fact, I think I just remembered that I hadn't shared the screen, but
Just hit exit full screen.
yeah, and I'll switch back over real quick.
Okay. And then share screen. Entire screen. Share. There you go.
Sorry about that.
No worries. And then go back up.
So how do I stop the eternal?
Click on that. There you go. Yeah. Don't worry about that.
I just feel like I'm going into the eternities inside of this. So basically, our team is made up of, I'm one of 8 instructional designers. We have our director. We call ourselves the Center for Learning, Design, and Technology. And we have a director for that center. We have an assistant director. We have 2 instructional technologists and 1, well, not really a full multimedia technician. She's really only with us about 20% of the time because of her other duties. But basically, just to give you a quick overview of how our process works, our program chairs decide from a strategic standpoint which of their classes they would like for their like to be online for their program. And so they approach the faculty and they say, most of the cases, they say, you will teach your class online. In very rare cases, the faculty will approach the program chair and say, hey, I'd like to take my class online. Once they do that, then that's where this sort of flow chart picks up, where the instructional designer has an initial meeting with the faculty. And then after we meet with them and go over this process, then we jump right into the design phase where we work on the design of the course, which is really just a high-level sort of outline with course objectives, course description, and then just a description of everything that's going to happen in our 14-week courses. After we get through the design phase, the program chair reviews that design and approves it, and then we move right into the development phase where they begin to develop their modules. And we have templates for a lot of the stuff that we do at EP, but essentially they submit a module package and they do it on an iterative basis. And after we do the first half of the course, the program chair pops in and has a look. And then we do the second half of the class and the program chair pops in and has another look. And these yellow boxes represent payment milestones along the way too. So they're paid for these online course developments. And then we have the final step is after we've completely developed all of the content, then we work on our course information documents, which is basically just the syllabus, the student version of the course outline, and the instructor biography and things like that. And then we meet one more time to discuss some final course setup. We're providing training all along the way, like just in time training, like when they need to know how to use Camtasia, we train them on that. That's one of my duties. When they need to know, so at the end, we do a full-blown training on Blackboard on how to, how to run and operate their course and how to teach an online course so that they don't go down in flames. But the instructional technologists are there to help us. They build out in Blackboard, and we help with that a little bit too. And then the course goes online, and they teach the class. And as an instructional designer, I stay enrolled in the class while they're teaching it, just in case they need any help. And then the last step that doesn't always happen is we like to have a meeting after they've delivered it, just to talk about what worked and what didn't work, and how to improve it. And from then on, we sort of turn them loose, but they often come back and ask questions even years down the road. So that's pretty much a very quick rundown of how things work at EP, Engineering for Professionals at Johns Hopkins. Now we're green again. It's very St. Patrick's Day-ish.
It's
festive.
Yeah.
You guys can go.
just going to log out so nobody steals mine.
Questions, anyone? Or like comments or things to contribute?
I'll start. And then I guess when we ask the question, would you guys mind repeating it as well so the people out online can hear? So Ed, asking you. So our team is rather small. Like we're still working on developing an official process. So how long did it take y'all? Because I really like the way. I mean, that's something that I can go back and share because our team is built up of me with instructional design and IT background, another person with communications background, and then we just got a new manager that's communications as well. So we're trying to figure out how this process works. So we have dates and stuff. So how long do you think it took y'all to develop that timeline as far as how this is the exact steps you have to take?
Good luck repeating that question.
Yeah. So the general question was, I don't think I can remember word for word everything he said, but the general question was, how long did it take us to develop that timeline and the process? And basically, that's been something that's been evolving ever since I started working at EP back in 2010. But we had back in 2014, we had a tiger team of, which I think is a really dorky name, but it was faculty, instructional designers, and our director got together, and they really nailed some things down. And they met for about 3 months, and that's when they finally put things on paper like this specific process. And by the way, I forgot to mention just really quickly, that process we expect to take about 6 months, but it usually takes about 9 months to a year, usually.
My question directed to you also, Ed. We have a similar process at the University of Iowa, but you have some unique steps that we don't. So you have some, it looks like people coming in and kind of verifying and checking, this looks good. We don't do that. And I'm wondering if your time frame, if this complicates things so that it slows down my process a little bit, probably for good reason. But I'm wondering how many courses then does an instructional designer through that format get through in a semester? Like how many courses does that ID go through that process and complete?
Okay. Yeah. So she commented on the checkpoints and how that could potentially slow down the process, and asked how many courses we get through in a semester. At the beginning of each semester, our instructional designers are assigned a new load of 5 or 6 courses. And the intention is that we actually get through those in a 6-month period of time. However, we also have on our load a whole bunch of carryovers. So the people that don't finish according to the project schedule, imagine that. So basically right now I have about, I would say 11 or 12 developments that are in various stages of that cycle. But to specifically answer your question, each of us instructional designers probably finishes about 3 or 4 per semester.
I follow up, sorry everyone. That's amazing to me. I mean, I look with envy at you because how many, I have my IDs and myself, if I'm in that, we do, I would say, 15 new, for sure, new designs a semester, and probably 6 or 7 follow-ups. Is anybody else at about that level? Is that just, yes? Okay.
So for us, for every semester, it's about, the goal is, somewhere around 60 new online classes, and about 15 to 20 redesign classes every semester.
Well, that sounds very exciting. A good process.
So yesterday, Jeff mentioned that they estimated about 300 hours in their development time. Does any of our panelists or anybody else in here have a very structured way of estimating the amount of time that you put in for planning, development, media production, like for how many credit hours this course is? So if it's a 1 credit hour course, it's going to take this long. If it's a 3 credit hour course, it's going to take this long. Does anybody have like a really good way of coming up with those time estimates? And I realize it depends on how complex the design is. That's another factor that plays into it. It's just one thing throw in PowerPoints and some quizzes, and it's another thing to develop interactive. So, does anybody have anything like that, a tool for estimating?
We have a thing called, we have a management program. We just started it just this past iteration, so back in the spring, that we all now, our instructional designers, our video, anybody that touches the course, logs hours in this system that we are now trying to keep track of. That's our only way that we are trying, it's our first step, trying to come to that number. And we're finding it's been a hard process for us. We're thinking about how we're doing that and how we're labeling that, because it's a tough process and we don't have it figured out yet. But I do like our system that we use, and I can share that with you. I can tag that on the board so you can see what system we use. I like the system. We don't have it figured out yet, though.
What's it called? Please add that.
I gotta look it up because I'm gonna call it something that it's not. So as soon as I put it on the board, I'll tell you. It's DCE Management System, but I'm not sure what that acronym is for, so I gotta look it up, and I'll get back to you on that, put it on the board here in a minute.
Chandra, our group is starting that as well, like Amy's group, but we're just doing it very simply on a shared Google sheet that our IT has set up, and we divided it into the new developments, the maintenance courses, special projects. So all of the hours that we log on a course, there's just a drop down menu we select, so everyone can be selecting those same courses, and they're starting to keep track of collectively how much time is going into a course so that they can bill appropriately. So especially on those carryovers or those maintenance courses, we're really looking scrupulously at how much time is going into maintaining the course and whether or not that should be billed, at a certain rate. So we're trying to figure out the process, but not the development process, but the cost model behind the development process.
We use something called Basecamp, which is a project management system. And so everybody that touches the course goes into Basecamp and kind of puts what they do. Now, we haven't done the time because I think it's really hard for creatives to measure time. It's just not in there, because I don't know, they're ADHD, so they're all over, it's like, oh, I don't know, I was doing this and I went here and I'm here. So it's hard for them to say, yes, I spent 4 dedicated hours to this project, whereas, they were all over the place. So
That's not creative either, because when you're a small shop doing everything, and taking calls,
Yes.
while something wrong in the course is that and the other, I have a difficult time tracking.
yeah,
So,
that's another thing.
The reason I ask is we're a brand new shop. I'm a shop of one right now, and we're hiring more people. And my boss, who has never done design, has never taught online at all, is asking, okay, so how long is it gonna take you to do this course? We want this course to roll out by this time. How long is it gonna take you to do it? And again, creatives, it's really difficult to say, well, it all depends. And so, I'm trying to see if anybody already has something laid out that, as a framework of, this is my best guesstimate of how long.
Yeah.
The same question is how long does it take to write a novel? How long does it take to build a house?
Even how long
What's the house look like?
Yeah.
But, the administrators want to,
It can't be done though.
You can give them a range, but yeah, there's no silver bullet time.
Well,
Sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say, I mean, because we do ours, our development is done during a workshop. Like parts of their course is their homework in this workshop. And I'm gonna base this off of the part-timers one because we have weird restrictions on what we can give stipends for. So full-timers have different deadlines, but the shortest one we have is a 1 semester build. But like I said, they're kind of doing like their first homework assignment is to get their Start Here module done. Everything that is like syllabus and all that stuff. And then from there, they kind of they build modules based on what we're learning in class. And then at the end of it, they've got a finished course that just needs to be put through QM.
But I did one over Christmas break with the faculty.
Yeah, and it can go.
So it just.
Yeah,
It really depends on the faculty and how well put together their material is and what you can slam through.
And this might be a topic actually for Amy and Ray in the back. I think that I'm fascinated with, actually, I'm curious, how many of you have started a shop brand new within the past 2 years? How many have been around for over 10?
Oh, well,
So, I mean, I feel like there's kind of a lot of in between right now, and so that's why this topic is so interesting to me, but it's also one to really research, because like Owen said, there's really not that much out there, and administrators ask for it all the time, at least that's what I've experienced. They also want to know not only the hours, but how much it costs to build a course. And I mean, if it's hard to even figure out how many hours go into it, the cost associated with it is even harder. So that might be something that we can start researching, because I think that will take some time to come up with. And what we might come up with too are just some basic models instead of like, this is the one way it's done, or this is the one way it's measured. Because like you said, building a house, well, we can maybe estimate if it's a 5-bedroom house or, something like that. But I think that's where, but I'm curious to know, as we're talking about teams, from maybe our panelists here and anybody else, who is the linchpin to your team? Who do you have to be able to make your team successful? Because I'm finding that changes sometimes. And I feel like, some of the people you had mentioned on your team are new to me, and I never even considered that. So is there linchpin people that you have to have on a team that we might be able to take and consider?
We have to have all of us. I mean, in the small team, like I said, the university has a big team, but in my small team within the college, we have one director who runs the office, controls the budget, plans workshops and things like that. We have me, the instructional designer for basically 80% of our general ed courses in the university, and on top of upper level courses. We have a student assistant, an undergraduate student assistant, who does kind of the small things on top of doing their own research assignment for their internship. We have a graduate student assistant who does more advanced things and also comes out with a product. We're currently hiring another one, or currently hiring that one because we lost ours a while ago. And then our administrative assistant who controls our calendars. And we have 2 assistant directors also, but they're not actively in the office all the time. They each run a workshop and they'll go to conferences with us sometimes. But each of us is really important to the team, and especially the students. The students are really important to have, and we panic when we lose one, because those are all the smaller things that we really don't have time to do, but we need someone to get them done.
I really like your question, because trying to consider who is that key person, I don't know that I can identify it, because so many people play a key role. I mean, I like to think I am the most important person on my team, right? But I think when it comes down to it, we all play such a vital role, that I don't know that I can say one person or one position that is the key person. I would say though, we started an internship program where we bring on students from our ITLS department, who are students who are studying to become instructional designers. And we bring on 2 a semester. And with as small a team as we have, bringing on those 2 student workers is phenomenal. They can really help us with the heavy lifting in our courses. And so I think that has actually been extremely helpful for us.
In all situations, depending on the project that you're working on, why bring in, somebody with a set of expertise that doesn't even apply? Or, you know what I'm saying? It depends on the project. If you're just doing, a small object for someone and you just need someone who's proficient with some tool to build it, that's one thing. If you're doing something that's going to be a whole year-long series of courses with very complex content, that's another project. So I think the question needs to be asked first, what is the project? Then who should be on it?
Go ahead. Do any of you have situations? So, I mean, everyone sounds like it's a semester build, things like that. We at Salisbury, we have the gamut because we have programs, but then we offer a lot of online sections just within departments. How do you handle
where a person is hired just to teach an online course, like an adjunct, and may or may not have a course built to teach.
So the question is, how do you handle faculty who have just been hired to teach online and they may or may not have an online class already built for them? I can only speak in our experience for, in our case, they're never hired to teach an online class if there isn't one already there. But for those that are hired to teach an online class, they teach a class that's already been developed, and we, before they teach the online class, we have an orientation that they go through that brings them up to speed on how to teach an online class.
An orientation online.
Yeah, we built it out in. Actually, it's still being finalized, but we built it out in Articulate.
We do something similar. We don't have an orientation, but our courses are loaded. We're supposed to be loaded in Blackboard 6 weeks in advance. So if the course is already built, but if the instructor is a brand new online instructor, they have access to that content for 6 weeks, so that they can go through it. We also receive training as well to teach. You know, one of the dilemmas that I have is that I have the whole gamut. I have, online programs that we build out ahead of time. We have even programs that have templates because each course has a template because there's so many instructors who are using it. But then I also have a couple of departments who hire an adjunct, never taught in higher ed before, a week before the semester starts, and they're to teach an online course. That does not develop.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I don't think that should be looked at.
Well, and that's where we don't have a central office just for online learning either, because my office serves that as well as clickers in the classroom and pathway development and all instructional technology. So we were about to redesign things, but that's why I was asking.
We run into somewhat of a similar situation, especially like our English 1010 courses or things like that, where we have grad students that find out 2 weeks before the semester that they're going to be teaching the course. And so we do the training, we do workshops for those students just before the semester starts. But for classes specifically like that, we have content built out that they take over and they can adapt. But we do have things, we have workshops and we have basically templated courses.
So related to the policy comment that you made and also the roles, can you speak to the importance of the role of the director or some kind of person that is advocating for the needed resources for the group or campus?
I'll take that one. So the question is asking the role of a director or someone who's advocating for the group. We have a fantastic director for our group. His name's John Louvier. And there's a few leadership qualities that I really appreciate, but one of the biggest things as far as him going to bat for us is that if we feel like we need something, we need a tool, we need another member of the team, he will always take that to the higher ups and absolutely advocate for us. And one of the things that I really appreciate as well is that he will kind of allow us latitude or freedom in how we want to kind of move or what direction we want to move with our team or how we want to change our development process. Melody.
So I'm a director, so I can speak to this a little bit. I think the big thing that you need to do is be able to listen to your team and really do all the data and fact gathering. And then you better have your facts together. And you better have your data behind you. Because when you go to admin, just like you were saying, they want the numbers, they want the proof, they want everything of why this is a need, especially if you're asking for money or more personnel or whatever. So that's why it's really important to have those numbers to back you up. But I think it's listening being able to, I guess, articulate or gather all that, and then, give that to the leadership. And another thing is relationship building. I think Owen, the other day was talking about how, important it is to have that relationship building. And so you need to be able to know who to go to and be able to, speak in a way that, is, you're not making demands, you're saying, hey, this is, something that we need to work through. And, I think that's the biggest thing that you can do. So it is important to be able to do that, but listening is the biggest thing.
For us at our university, one of our struggles, and maybe you can help us speak to this, any directors or anybody else that has wisdom, we are probably like a lot of you booming, not enough people, not enough time, not enough staff. Our director currently takes care of directing for our video, directs for our coordinators. We have program coordinators, kind of similar to what you were talking about, and our IDs. And I feel like my core director, who I really like, is way in over their head. Do you guys have other directors of different? Are you a director of all of those things? Is that working well for you? Or is there directors that are just specific to each category? What's your process to address those?
For ours, we have, like I said, our team is kind of split up in weird ways. For the university as a whole, the head of everything technology-wise for the university is our, I want to say she's like vice president for technology enhanced learning. I think it's vice president. I could be saying that wrong. I'm not sure. But so I feel like that's wrong. I feel like it's not vice president, but she's high up like that. And so she runs everything. I say runs. She's kind of over all of the technology stuff on the university level. But then in the college itself, we also have our director in the college for the Office of Distance Ed doesn't report to her. She reports to our associate dean of the college because we're specific to our college. And so it's just it depends on where they report, what interests they have, and who they have under them, because I report to both. I'm split funded. So I am kind of have my hands in both pots.
That's really good. I mean, I can speak to my own personal experience, so maybe I'll jump in as well. When we first started up, we were kind of startup mode. And so I was kind of everything admin to everybody, but at the same time, I was also designing courses. And I did play this role. And as our team has actually been kind of a victim of our own success, and like you said, we're growing, we're booming, I found that I was spending hours. I mean, no social life, right? So I had to advocate and set boundaries, because initially when you're in startup mode, you say yes to everything. Oh, sure, yeah, we need that program. Oh, yeah, but actually that is a really good idea. So you become this person that can do everything, and then people take advantage of it. So I had to set boundaries pretty early on, and then also start to hire staff, like support staff. We have an amazing admin, Iris here in the back, who has come in and literally saved me on things like state authorization and all these things that I'm like, wow, I did not have the power. So, and contracts and faculty and all that stuff. So you have to have your team of admin support to be able to, and kind of like Tiffany was talking about, everybody's necessary. Everybody you hire, because first of all, you have to fight like the Dickens to get most of these people hired in the first place. And so they are essential to the team. But for me, what I've found is the admin duties, especially as you become successful in a university, your capacity or your influence grows. So now it's like I'm over all of GW online in some respects. And so because of that, that's opened this door where we're just a production shop to begin with. And so setting boundaries, I think, is important, and also hiring staff that can actually start to take some of that stuff off your plate so that they can focus in on the most important things. For me, the most important thing right now is working on program planning with each of these new programs that we bring in, because without that, it puts our instructional designer team in a huge pickle where we have to deal with contracts and faculties that say, I don't want to do this course. And so if I can work on that, then that sets my team up to be successful. That's where I started to see.
Can I just add on to, so, and I'm not even sure how to ask this question. So, all the issues of trying to get the resources you need, and you said now we've got this huge, we're over all the online. Before you got to that, how do you make sure that you are in the meetings, like you have a voice at the table where you need to be. You know what I'm saying? That your
That's a
team.
really great question. To be honest, so since I've been here, every year I've been here, I've been here 4 years, I've had a new person I report to. That's just the way GW is. We change almost every year. It's part of the culture.
Right.
I'll say this: the person who has been, it really depends on who's over you. For me, the most enabling person has been one that was actually just he was just in January he transitioned to somewhere else. He was amazing. He listened to me and he actually, he gave me that power to be able to say, this is what I hear you. Let's build that up and let's support you. But I think it's hard to find because now changes. So.
I've also had different people over the last couple of years. I think what I also do is I look for the faculty advocates. I look for people outside or the people who are coming to our office to help convey messages that are helping them. So looking for multiple people in different areas, because sometimes those faculty end up, because they do move into a chair's position or associate provost position or something, building those relationships, but then also just constantly talking with them to help convey the messages.
I mean, it is part of what motivated my question was just having been in situations where, whoa, they're doing what? Why wasn't our team, why didn't we even know about that?
Yeah,
You know?
we've had the same thing where they've made, huge blackboard
They thought,
decisions
what?
without us at the table. And
Yes.
so I've actually had to try to make and build relationships with different people I went to the provost office and said, hi, this is who I am. I'd like to be involved in these situations or these conversations. And it took a lot of soliciting on some level and getting to know the right people.
Yeah, I think that's the key. Now, I report to a vice provost. And he's a faculty, and he used to be an associate dean. And I've been at the university 8 years, and I'm a border collie. And I am all over that university. And I know everybody from the president all the way down to the IT person that comes in and plugs in our computer. And I think it's really important to build those relationships. And my boss is pretty active all over campus. So anytime he gets invited to something, he invites me. And so I'm in these meetings. And when you're talking about structure, I don't do the business side of the house, thank God, because that's another whole thing. And so I'm a director of the instructional design team and all the course design. We have a director that's over all the business, building out the curriculum, paying out, and then we have somebody that's over all the students, so the marketing and getting the students, to advising and all of that. So we have 3 different directors that do very different things. And we're in a leadership team that reports up to this vice provost who is a faculty. He goes to faculty senate. He reports to a senior vice provost who I'm actually friends with that reports right to the provost the provost has actually sent me to conferences. So, I think it's that relationship building, and they know you get this reputation. Oh, if you want this, go to her because she'll get it done. So I attend a lot of meetings, and I'm one of the few people that walks away from these meetings with something to do. Because a lot of these meetings happen and everybody comes up with ideas, and it's like, oh, we'll give it to Melody, she'll get it done. So you build that reputation, and then you get invited, and so you are at the table. But it takes that building that reputation and being there and getting to know people, because really universities are about relationship building as much as we don't want to think that.
My question is a little bit more directed to Shawna, because I'm in a similar situation. And then Tyler, no, the gentleman in the middle.
Travis.
I wrote it down. Yes, I am the important person because I am it on this evening. I'm the only person in the university where I'm hiring one that doesn't start until July, but my director, the director of online education, has no background, has taught online, but is no help. Other than he does, he's like, do whatever you want. He's supportive.
That's a
But I
great
don't-
advocate, gives me anything I want.
I don't have anybody, how do you handle it? You don't have anybody to go to say, what do you think about this? And I know I've only got 3 months left, hopefully, but until somebody comes on, but other than the cheerleader support.
I've been fortunate in my regard because I have Tyler on campus as well. Even though my my unit is out of the provost office because it's the first attempt to do this university-wide. So that's why we're brand new. But there are units across campus that have been doing things online, courses and programs on graduate level programs online. But within their departments, they're very autonomous. And so people like Tyler are on campus, they just may not be titled instructional designer. That may or may not be their background. So I'm fortunate that even though I'm new in my department and we're trying to get our shop set up for the university, there are other people on campus that I can call and say, hey, how are you getting this to work? Yeah, I'm lucky that way. And then I came from an institution that had a huge shop. And because I have relationships with those people, you can always contact someone and say, hey,
So if you don't, because I just moved up from K-12 in instructional technology.
you have a room full of people.
Just email us.
Where do you all reach out? Outside of people that you work with?
One of the things that we did at Cannabis before is that we started a committee of all people who were in similar positions at the university in different programs all over. And then we had people who were in the league that were on committees and technology committees so that they could actually be advocates for things that we wanted. So that was really, I am a committee, I'd be on the committee.
We just started that, me and Sandra just started that on our campus since it was very autonomous. We started what's called a Canvas user group. So every month, anyone that works on Canvas products will meet. And basically the goal is that we'll get on the same page and we'll all be working with the same tools. And it won't be a secret that one person has this really cool tool and he's not going to, everyone's going to know about everything. And then if we have a problem, we have a committee, a steering committee that helps, run the administration side of Canvas. So if we have a problem, we'll be able to write a proposal, official proposal, and we'll send that to the committee and say, the entire campus users feel like this is a need we have, and then they'll fight for our needs.
But if you're in her situation and there isn't a community in your institution, there are things like, for instance, Black Hole Users Group.
Yeah.
They have a road goes around, the little associations that anyone can come to who's using, So you can go, there'll be people from various schools in your state at something like a Black Hole Users Group.
Are you all a QM school? Yeah. Which necessarily use
Design or.
They're not.
We are U2L.
Do you have a?
We do too.
Campus that has an instructional designer? Yes.
So,
Exactly.
Universities nearby would be a good idea. And one of the,
Real basic. This is my first year.
and another thing too would be you could form, this is something.
If I'm in a group, they're all like very experienced.
Well, and here's an opportunity to you to even create a strategic online committee. That's kind of what we had to do. We gathered people from registration. We gathered people from all these people that are influenced in that decision. And then it starts the conversation of how you create this team, what it looks like in your university. And that is empowering to you in your position because as they realize, wow, they need more resources, or wow, they need, and you invite people like your higher up on that. They need to be trained on what you do. One of the most obscure titles in online in higher ed is instructional designer. Most people don't know what that means. And so you have to train them on what we do and what we produce, and then they'll get on board and be able to give you resources.
and if you do that, you'll be able to manage expectations.
Yes.
As she had described earlier.
So Tiffany, you said that you were in, a particular area, but you had a central office. How is the communication here between that central office and your division and the other 13?
So we have all of the coordinators for each college, they report to their own deans rather than the Distance Learning Center, but they all come together, I think, once a month to meet as like an executive committee in the Distance Learning Center. And all the instructional designers from all of the colleges meet once a week together in the Distance Learning Center. So we stay transparent with each other, and the fully DLC funded instructional designers stay there all the time. They just go to their college when they're needed because they have fewer online courses there. The ones who are split funded like me, we go and work there once a week just to be available in case we're needed. But for the most part, the instructional designer is the liaison. And then once a month, the coordinators and directors, they all get together and talk higher up stuff.
So even though you're dedicated to, different college, you're also doing some work for the center as well.
Yeah, most of my work for the center is the QM reviews. Occasion, I personally have gotten involved with the new learning models section, but as far as regular flat KSU online learning stuff goes, it's primarily QM reviews, and that's what I tend to save my QM reviews for the days when I'm working in the DLC, so that I don't have to take all my stuff with me. And so, yeah, that's primarily what I do for them, unless they have something specific that they need.
So you talk about QM, we're pretty new to QM. We're just taking that on as a way for us to provide some consistency across the board. And I'm curious if anybody has a good implementation plan for QM and how to utilize that effectively.
QM itself lists out institutional.
We've got it. We've got their implementation plan. I'm curious if that works well. If you guys had to, deviate from that. It seems like it has really good steps that are very time consuming, and I do not know how many full reviews we'll get to, how does that work? Did it actually work for you? Did you follow that process? And piece of cake worked, it's great.
We, KSU is internal. We do internal reviews.
Right.
We do not do national reviews.
And that would be we would do internal as well.
Right. Because we want the faculty member who developed the course to be the subject matter expert. They are who we go to if we have a question regarding their goals and stuff like that, instead of referring to someone else. And that's the primary reason that we do internal reviews. We're also a little bit less strict, I guess, if that makes sense.
It does.
And it helps because now I was a student when they first did. I was barely a student in that office when they first started doing QM, so I wasn't directly involved in the implementation, but I do know that they had a lot of faculty pushback when they implemented because of academic freedom.
Okay, I'm gonna speak to this.
Good, and we're trying to tie our fundings to
Yes.
this. Hitting the QM, we have a funding similar to what yours was. The instructor gets so much money after they hit these points. We're trying to
Right.
do that.
Okay, the big word is accreditation. Exactly. So when the accreditation board comes knocking and the administration needs something to show, and I had been trying to get QM for years, and I got the same thing. And then our senior vice provost said, "Oh, there's somebody doing something on campus with quality," and all of a sudden it hit the fan that oh wow, there is this process. And so once leadership sees the value in it, so again, I'm gonna go back to that relationship thing. So I presented at Quality Matters a thing called the QM Quickie. And it's a 30-minute presentation where you start going out and you hit the pavement and you start talking to department heads. Department heads are going to be your lifeline to the faculty. If a department head says, we are going to do this internally, externally, whatever it is, the faculty don't really have much they can do about it. They're like, okay, this is just something. They might complain, they might grumble. And the thing is, and then you start building the relationship with the faculty and you say, what's in it for you? Why, how are you gonna benefit from this? T&P, start going after, this is a service thing for T&P. You're going to learn how to build a better course because you're gonna see examples of good courses. The first thing people go, can I see examples? Be a peer reviewer, go in, you're gonna see great examples across everything. Take a little bit of money, not a whole lot. But all of these things, you just start telling them what's in it for them. But it's getting the administration, getting the department heads, and then getting to faculty. And you start internally, like And then, believe it or not, people are gonna wanna start doing external because they're gonna want that brand on their course because they want recognition.
And I was curious about that. Has that brand meant something?
It's starting to mean something.
Good, I'm glad, okay.
It didn't 5 years ago, but it's starting to gain recognition.
We just had so we've been using QN since it basically started, and we do not have an implementation plan because of the culture hasn't gotten there yet. But we just had our middle space accreditation, and QN was, we just said, we're using QN, for the middle space accreditation, and now we're putting in pieces for the reviews, even though we've always built our courses off of QN.
So I came from an institution that we were QM and have been using it for years, but we didn't package it as QM. There are two separate departments, instructional design and quality assurance. And so in instructional design, we did a pre-review of all courses before they were open to students. Every single section, the instructional designers would physically go into every course and do it's like a quality check for the minimum, the bare minimum standards of what would pass a QM review. And if they didn't, these things had to be done before the course could be open. And then we did for new courses or new instructors, we did what was a more detailed design review, so it would almost be an internal review. And only courses that were problem courses were reported by students, were consistently on that the pre-opening review where they constantly had these things being improving. Only those things actually went over to the quality assurance department that then did an official QM review. So we have two different departments.
I'm going to wrap up this. This is great discussion. Actually, I'm really curious. I'm going to do a quick survey. How many use a version of QM, like a soft version of QM in your processes?
Soft
Meaning
or?
it's not official.
Okay.
Like the not official review.
Okay.
How many do the official QM review? So there's, yeah, some schools do. So these might be the people that you would want to go talk to about this. So let's turn inward to our tables and start doing some brainstorming. Effective teams, that's our topic right now. QM, I know, is kind of where we ended up, but let's go back to effective teams. I'd like you to share what makes your team effective. What are some of the key contributing factors to that effective team for you, so that we can kind of start to gain information and ideas from each other about how to improve our own teams. So we need some moderators. Tiffany's going to be a moderator here, right? No. Let's see. Do we have somebody at the back who would be willing to volunteer? I'm sorry, it's always the same people. So Tiffany, why don't we have you go to the back table and you can do it there. Travis, would you mind moderating right here?
Sure. I'm gonna let the online people know and I'll
Sure.
deal
Yep.
with that.
At this table, do we have a volunteer? Anybody that would
Yeah, I can do this table.
Tyler, and at the back table. Drew, I'm gonna pick on you. Would you mind moderating? Actually, let's see. We need probably somebody to post. I can come back and cover that. So I'll have you moderate, and if I can have somebody else post on. You want to do that? Okay, that'd be great. All right.
What are your teams? Who are your teams?
We have three job lines. We have a runs design team and technology. And then there's dotted lines to our support team that does help support, and then analysts, the team that does kind of work. So we're trying to figure out what we created design team. What is the workflow like Johns Hopkins process? What is it that it would like for us to pass it off to the team and come in
I think it's always a trade-off between people and positions, right? Someone may have high values, but their strengths are here, so adjust your processes to or adjust the process. If someone leaves, then the person who's really good at this thing leaves. But that position was sort of changed and sort of changed the process. One thing I thought about was
very first thing they
I was amazed that they had two animals. That's amazing. We don't. That's great because that's a huge component of video production. We don't have the animators. All of us can kind of do video. A couple people have specialized in animation. Processes change, technologies come in. You were all sort of generalists.
Hey, online people, if you can hear me, go ahead and drop into the Creating Effective Teams breakout room. I'll be in there to help with my mic and sound off. Just chat me if you need me.
I think that's when the director is really important. And so we're hiring all that, I know what you're heading. Right, this person is really a better tech person than our head person. So I'm gonna hit them with that, even to the point of like my team, they get programs, they don't have to take courses, they get complete programs. So I sit down with them and I go, what subjects are you interested in? I mean, if you're a humanities person, I don't want to put you in science. If you're a science person, I don't want to put you with, humanities or something, dance or something. Yeah, I want to make it a good fit. So it's that leader being able to look at the people and say that even to the point, I've got an instructional designer and really they're more of a, and but it's just going to be doing more of the, so I did one of these programs. I mean,
but it's not.
Really, she's better. She doesn't relate well to the fact that
North Carolina, I love South Carolina, Tennessee, North Carolina's on the yeah, we all, South Carolina's the best part. It's really, we say down south, we do not
hired a guy that is a great IT person.
Because I usually, yeah, we don't like, I usually still in the meeting.
And we can away from our team because I don't think his strengths lie. So I'm just hoping, people find their spot.
Yeah, I think it was well, I think it was this year we did okay, but last year.
Hire people to fill that position, so although it kind of sucks if you have to adapt it to what.
I have
And you never grow. So, what conference do you want to go to? Would you want to go back and get another? What are your goals? And that happens in those annual meetings that we all need to go. But I kind of use those as, this is a time for you to tell me what you want in the future. And let me help you figure out a way that you start that. Maybe you're a designer and you want to go more graphic. How about you go to the Adobe instead of going to an IT thing? Well, what I do is each person gets one conference a year, and I ask them to present. So, do a proposal because we want our name to get out. And so, yeah. And the first time they don't have to present, but every year after that, I want them to, and it's a good professional development thing for them to be able to get up in front of people and speak. Even coming to this is almost like a presentation because we're so interactive with each other.
That's one thing our and it's part of the process of what did you do?
You've done for me lately.
I have a question, only because it comes to light this week. What happened, or do you guys have like cohesive team, or do you like have a team of mini me's of like your boss and your director, or is there a black sheep?
I'd say ideally our teams, I mean, allegedly we're a cohesive team. There's effort to bring up, we're supposed to be more cohesive, but then there was some people got promoted from the team to supervise the team, and that really changed the dynamic, but it's still like everybody's still that we're not, you know, there's now there's just it's different. So you just be kind of really mindful about how you play, how the people get promoted and don't get promoted.
We're gonna work as a team, your just because I don't work on it, I work harder. She's amazing. You know, so like each process I know like take more of my like that.
Yeah, I'd say there was some negative, definitely had a negative impact on morale, and that translates to, you know, there's a project coming up, this person does, it's like, do I do it for them, for their community, because they're gonna show up like I did the same, it's like, am I helping them, am I helping the team? When it was the team, it's clear, everybody just helped the team, now that it's not the team, and it wasn't the team before, still generally we do trust that. It does.
Yeah, we just experienced that. Our shift, designer got rid of his manager. And I'm like, man, we used to all be a team. Now we're not a team anymore. And at the same time, I'm really and I'm like, you know what I am? And I'm like, what if I could be successful?
So
everyone to be
team, and you know, it's always it's loud and but it also hard to keep out next to all day. Wake up and be nice and so I mean intentional team building.
So we had which way you should work on that. We have one person. I don't know effect. A little bit, 5 hours. So I think that there was one that we could still not left enough for the fall for that is August, but it's in April.
Yes. That happened with us too. We had a bad boss running public responsibility for that. There was a lot of drama, a lot of tears in my office. A lot of Kleenex boxes. And luckily he decided it wasn't the place for him and he left on his own accord. And then that made the team come together and be pretty cohesive. The fact that I hired everybody within, hired like 14 people in 18 months. So everybody was kind of hired all at the same time. And we do have a workspace where everybody is together. We call it the fruit bowl. They're all in there together. It does get a little loud. And so I have made everybody on my team has a laptop, a pad, and a phone, and an iPad. And there's a lot of spaces on campus. that, you know, and I show them, here's a space, there's meeting rooms that you can go to, that you can be quiet, away from the people, you know, go, but, you know, the fact that they're all there together, I think is really good power. I think another thing, and this is really hard for me because I'm in a now leadership position, I wasn't 8 years ago. I don't feel like a leader. I feel like I'm one of the kids. I love to design courses. I'm an instructional designer at heart. I'm an instructional designer at heart. I love to get in there and do the work. And I think even though I'm a senior instructional designer and I'm bringing her up to kind of take over some of the leadership, everybody's part of the team. I don't feel like, okay, you're going to be over this one. We're all we all work as a team. I don't feel like I'm the boss. And they're like, you're the boss. You're the biggest deal. I'm like, no. Let's really come together as a group. And I was going to ask Tim about his process. Because when I come in and I'm like trying to figure out the process, I get what's the process we want to follow? We need to work with this. So I'm always, as a team, I don't have, you're above this person, you're above this person. It's like, we're all in this together and how are we going to figure it out? And I think that can maybe solve that. They can keep the team.
And I think that what happens in our situation, we have the same exact model, one director, a large team. There's definitely certain skill sets. The workload people don't have on direct, where they can learn to cook, it's just too much. They needed to get some of those 12 people, 12 people, have some responsibility that they can delegate. If you delegate to them, then delegate. When there's smaller projects, like, you know, without off your plate. So that's then there was, what happened was our main director was, and then 4 people. And then they all got raises. The rest of the team still continues. So it's classic sort of management, you know, consolidate and you know, in our field, it's really rapidly evolving with a lot of people hiring a lot of people. There's going to be a lot of administration changes. Some other academic it's the same.
I think in my wording is from that. I like I don't want
you know, education, and this is what I'm always saying, because I think with this, they have no child left behind. They try to turn education into business. And education is a lesson. Education is like trying to nail Jell-O on a wall. And you're never going to have a process that this is how the mind works. This is how the education works. We're going. I mean, we're still in an industrial model for our education system, and it needs to evolve. And so I don't know that it's a process they can say, okay, this is now, you know, it's been here for a long time. It's messy. It is just a messy business. And I'm sorry, engineers like to be more. And I struggle with this too.
I'm not, though. I am this messy engineer. And so, like, but it's a generation for me.
Yeah, systems people are like, okay, this is our system, and so when you start throwing, it's like when we built a course we went to a faculty, and a lot of ITs have a problem with this. They wanted to maintain it. And I'm like, yeah, and it's and when you hand it over, it's like handing over a beautiful house. And now people are gonna go in and party, and they're gonna live in it, and they're gonna throw food, and you're gonna what happened with beautiful house? We learned here. We learned that yes, it's messy and it's torn apart. We can clean it up and get it ready for the next party to come in, but it's
this is where like I'm totally like a messy engineer because like I want to have this plan, right? Like so my plan is to go to the cup. But then I realize I'm halfway to the cup and I'm like, dude, that cup's way better. Let's go to that cup. And so like it's this iterative process, and that's what I love about it. Like, it's never the same process as any course. And it's like you're gonna chase all out of and I like that. I like the messy. And of course, maybe because I am an engineer at heart, not a designer at heart, although I'm a designer. When I hand it over to my book, it's yours. I have absolutely no like emotional attachment to your course because it's yours.
I'm about to go to AERA, which is American Educators Research Society. These people drive me crazy because they try to take something that's messy, organic, and they want to simplify it, and they want to quantify it. And when I did my dissertation, I didn't do a study like that because I wanted quantitative assessment. You want to take it, I did a qualitative and a quantitative.
I never.
And I just, it's so hard to fit something like Jello in this to a rigid thing. I mean, I guess you can follow and everything, but it's yeah, it's just it's hard. And so yeah, online is new, but it's not really that new. If you think about the model, we've had distance education correspondence way back when we were doing distance education, just another modality. And so it's, I don't know, and this goes back to the pedagogy. So, you know,
We can trade anywhere we want.
I think that's more important.
They pass the interview, we're not great, and then get them, one person with them, and they're like, person was terrible, and they're like, how did you run? Yeah, how did you still do that?
It's more as a way to.
Power that was the interview.
People can sell themselves if they're really on their job. Again, HR.
I did too. I'm not which courses. One thing I really like is the director instructions. I'm not as deep. So when I was looking to. Okay. We were working together, and it also besides team building, I thought it also gave her time once. Really good experience. They didn't get to they see the hard
What's
side.
your level? I've never heard of that
Yeah. Specifically in our office, we have, some of us review the application.
So for us, we have associate, intermediate, and they lead. And they all mean the same thing. You get paid peanuts here, you get paid, Snickers bar here, and you get paid chocolate cake here. Seriously, the duties are all the same across all sometimes they are faculty, building, programs. Clear engineers, clear defined roles. That's what I want.
They were. I want to think you did right. All this Victoria said, unfortunately, like once we hire and then we actually offer some HR takes on. Okay, do a 3-month process.
Well, from the time they come in the
That's what's killed me just going to the director role is I have to go out meetings now. So I feel like from meetings. sometimes it can get complicated. And so I try to, say, oh, I'll take the bullet on this one and you, and I don't have to work anymore. It's kind of painful for me. Luckily, I teach, so I design my own course. I design and that one, but I have to say, I miss that part. Yeah, and that's what I'm doing my senior instructional designer. I know she doesn't want to have to do a lot of administration. And there's something that 60% role play. And one question I have for everybody, because I'm interested in how this is working for you, is student workers. And I've heard these guys say how important student workers are. We've done two different ways where we pay student workers and put a call out to the whole university. And we've also done agencies where we have a master's program on how to do it. It's been successful, it hasn't been successful, I'm just wondering.
We had students from the past year we've been doing internship specific students who are working in the instruction specifically that come in for the semester, and as part of the program we have to do specifically for your and I've really I I've learned a lot about how to
I'd like to hear about that because I've been about halfway successful with our
So a piece of it is we built an onboarding training. So we didn't have we used to bring it to but another thing is having I know for future and then I'm also similar to how we have they'll be assigned with the faculty that kind of know what to get down. So they're not stuck.
I've been reluctant to do that because I don't want to interfere with my designer's work. So I usually get that project. And it's like, kind of that. I've had 6. 3 of them were fantastic. 3 of them were flakes. And you know what it's like, okay, you just flaked on a project I gave you and now, and I don't know how to, maybe the personalities of well, I mean, it was a lot of interesting demands made by students. That's That's why I'm the one who manages, and so if it's second time, it's my time, not the
we do too. One of
Now, we have student workers that work for our videographer. Fantastic. That's a great thing because it's, you come in, you're only there for the 10 hours a week and you're dragging equipment around or you're running a camera. That's something you have to do outside.
I'm gonna give you a 1 minute warning to wrap it up.
Come up on the idea. I started.
I want a graphic designer. For us, we really like. Who probably doesn't have time for the knowledge she would make it be what it should be. So what if you have a graphic designer who's minimum brand, develop effective visuals that we can take and then implement and create the visuals for us, click the buttons and then take it from in. So just, you know, the instructor got it. Yeah, I mean, our graphic designer came in and she loves it.
Circle means twist, square means push. You have to realize shapes and things.
Instead of talking about everything you guys mentioned, I'm gonna ask you to choose one state to talk about. So what's the most important thing, if you can set up down to one thing that your table came up with, we'll go around and we'll talk about it. And we'll start here.
I like it. All right. One thing we talked about is the house analogy, where an ID hands a course over to an instructor and they want it to stay this beautiful, immaculate thing. But really what happens is then once it's been handed over, people start living there and they rearrange the furniture and they change things.
Good analogy.
Things happen.
And they party and they learn.
They learn.
They learn. And that's the whole reason for building the house. And
that's the goal.
And the furniture has to be moved. And then when they're all done learning and they leave, you can go and you can clean it up and get ready for the next people to come in and learn. But you just have to let it go.
We had in ours, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump in, you guys good? We had discussed a bunch of things, but two of the top things I think was we decided to share our org charts and we're going to stick them out on the board. And we would love everybody to do that because it's just nice to see what everybody else is doing. And I think we talked really just about making sure we had effective collaboration with all of the different teams between the video team, the media team, if you're lucky enough to have a graphics designer and whoever else you have, there's a good effective collaboration. Anybody else have been?
Okay.
So we talked about something, I guess, kind of similar to that. It's just obviously the importance of communication, making sure that you're having constant meetings or constantly contacting each other, and whether that's through the use of a project management system, we use Google Docs, or even just having small conversations in the hallway to just make sure that you're talking to the right people and that things are getting done in the right way.
Yeah, so we this is a good table because three of us are sort of on teams that we are just now building teams, and so we had a good conversation about how to do that, and we kind of thought about we kind of set on the fact of that we are like picking new people, diversity in the backgrounds is really important. Is it more effective to hire someone that's just like you, or do you hire someone that's completely different that brings a whole new skill set? And we talk about that, and then we talk about there's that also hire for attitude and train later. So understanding that it's also really important that this person on paper may be able to build anything they want, but they also may have to interact with people as well. And this is a lot of interacting with faculty, and it's important that they have great soft skills, because you can teach hard skills, but soft skills are something that, are very hard to teach.
Great conversation. Awesome. So we're going to wrap this session up. Let's take a 15-minute break. So we'll get back here at 10:05. We'll start our next session, which is HEeD leadership, I think, for the most part, is being invited this. So, okay,
Hey, Ray.
You are so multitasking. For real though, poor thing.
back to order here. Hope you guys had a good break. We're going to go ahead and get started. We're excited about this part of the conference. I want to introduce to you somebody who I'm going to ask to run this session, and I actually failed to mention him as part of the leadership team in the very beginning, and I feel terrible about it. Brian Starr, who is actually, stand up, yep. He's our director of business operations, and to be quite frank, this association couldn't exist without him because I am not a business mind. And so and actually this was his idea to create it as an association. I just started with an idea for a conference, even just regionally, and he thought, well, is there a space for this? And there is, and I'm so glad you all saw that too. So I'm really happy to have him. He's been a huge asset to us and continues to be. His background's in HR. Actually, he works for a consulting firm that works for the government and does human capital consulting. So he's been a benefit to us, again, a volunteer leadership member as well. So we're thankful to have him. And I'm going to ask him to run this. Oh, before we have found this mouse. That's you. Okay. Like, anyway, so you win the prize. Good job. Okay. So I'm turning the time over to Brian, and then we're going to invite our leadership team to the front.
Actually, leadership team, you guys can come up right now. Right before we actually jump on board with this, Amy's going to lead us with something real quick.
Leadership team, stay at the table.
Okay, never mind. Leadership team, stay at the table then. So we're going to let Amy do this first, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about how the rest of the session is going to go today.
Thank you. So I had asked for an opportunity just to have us do a small activity together. I think it's kind of a nice start to what we're going to be doing the rest of this morning. So I'm going to ask you to maybe step out of your comfort zone a little bit. I'm going to ask you to stand up. So everybody needs to stand up. Here we go. Yes, it's one of those conferences.
Hold on.
So what I'm going to ask you to do is kind of go through an experience with me. And maybe you've had this type of experience before. I'm hoping this will be a little different as we kind of walk through it. So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is just take out your hands and do the simple activity of finger to index, walk down. And then just practice doing that a minute. Get yourself comfortable. All right, pretty good, pretty fast. I am going to time you, and I am going to ask you to count as you're doing this. Got to keep it going in the right direction, from your thumb to your index, to your middle, to your all the way through, and count how many you can get done.
Are we starting?
20 seconds. Can't go backwards. Got to stay in this pattern. Keep the pattern going. Same pattern the whole time. For 20 seconds. Are you ready? Shake your hands. Ready, set, go. Stop. How many of you had? At least 10, for sure 10. At least 10. 15. 20. Come on,
But
20?
Are we talking?
25?
Are we talking fingers or sets?
Excellent. This would be. That's a really good question. I was not sure.
With 1, 2, 3.
This is 1. This is 2.
That's like.
Amy, right direction.
So I'm not so
I feel
late.
better.
Okay.
I can get to 10.
Okay, I'm in set.
You didn't
Okay.
design that activity very well.
Oh, you have no idea.
So divide by 5.
All right, let's try that again.
4, yeah. Divide by 4.
We are going to do it for 20 seconds one more time, and you're going to do the same activity. And 1 is all the way through. There's 1, 2. We good? 20 seconds. It's going to be faster this time, I can tell. Ready, set, go. Done. All right. Try again. How many got at least 5?
I got 5.
10. Keep your hands up. You got at least 10. 15. Ooh, we're clearing around.
Ooh. Some people.
All the way up to 18. At least 18. Oh my gosh, impressive. Nice job.
She's our animator.
Okay, this activity is not done. Hang in there with me. Hands back up. Now gotta go backwards. Same thing. Starting with your pinky. That's your set. 1, 2. We good? 20 seconds. Go. Time's up. I love what we're doing back there. Okay, so at least 10. I think I'd go with 10 this time. Oh, not even your hand up. 15? 18. 20? 22? Holy cow. 28? All right, what was yours? I saw the whole thing. I know it. Wasn't that interesting? The different paths she took. All right, we've got one last activity. I'm so sorry, but this is it. So hands up. This one hand is gonna go this way. Oh, you bet. Oh yes. Come on. One hand's gonna go the opposite. Now, if you screw up and you start finding yourself doing it like it didn't work out, you gotta start over. You can't count until you make it both go. I'm definitely not. All right.
It's not gonna happen. I'm gonna try.
Oh, you got into it.
I'm gonna try. Okay, I'm gonna try.
So one hand is going this way, the other hand is going this way, both at the same time, and you gotta count how many reps. If you screw it up, you gotta start over. It's only 20 seconds. Hang in there with me. Ready, set, go. No.
One. Yeah.
Okay, time's up. One. Now, not that I'm gonna point it out, but I think some of you quit. How many of you got at least 5? And make at least 5. Oh, 6. I'm going up by ones now. 7, 8, 10. Oh, that's so good. What did you get? 10. Very well done. Now, what I would like you to do briefly for a minute, you've got a neighbor next to you. I just want you to turn to them. What made this, what would you need for this odd one going this way and one going this way? What would you need to make that work for you? What did you have to do to make this thing work? Turn to your neighbor and tell them, what helped you the most? What did you have to do to make it work? Really slow. Okay, we're gonna close back together. I'm kind of a shouter, so I apologize. This table, is anybody willing to share what was one thing you did to make it work better?
The thing that finally got it to work for me was thinking going right to left.
Yep.
Oh,
I can type right.
Right to left work for you. And back to this table. Willing to share? Had to look. That's what I have to do. I have to look at my hands. Everybody back at this table? Looking at.
I don't know if I did them simultaneously, make sure that they were hitting at the same time.
Ah, simultaneous. Good. Anything different here at this table?
Yeah, I do the same, and
I
then
try to
every time I
watch.
start, I make sure I start with like the pointer and the pinky.
So make sure your start was good.
So I didn't get to do it, but I was thinking if I had done it, you didn't say we couldn't do one hand and then do the other hand.
No, she did.
She did.
Oh, okay.
Good try, though. I'm going with them, yes.
I'm sorry.
How about flip them over so I can watch them?
Oh, so you could look down. Yeah, that was really good, too.
I had to change my thumb
Ah.
position. You didn't say I had to touch it right here.
Right, that's right.
Folded it in.
That's right. That wasn't bad. Good idea. Okay, so one last thing before we get done here. I know you know this. I'm telling you what you know. Obviously, there was different paths to making this work, right? Different ways to learn, different ways to do it. My instructions mattered immensely. Me not telling you this was one all the way through, we had totally different outcomes, correct? I'm really excited. You're all here. We all need to have our hands in on all these next steps. I'm so excited. That's it. That's all I got.
Great.
So it's up here now.
But it's not doing that on my screen.
It's not.
I don't know yet, I love those shoes. I might get some.
So it's broadcasting.
Click on.
And it says it's syncing.
Which makes me wonder if this
I don't know.
Hey, Tiffany, will you ask her what she just saw?
We're having some technical difficulties for a second. We're trying to make
There's
sure that
5 viewers now.
Highline people, so. You want to leave? Okay. So give us just a
Says
moment,
live.
and then we'll help you with. We'll get to the last session. Is it going?
Anybody ever
District 1, if you want to talk about what you would have to do that faster. What would you need to do? Make that go faster. Section practice. Travis has got this. Oh, good.
Okay. While we're waiting to get this going, I want everyone to try to see how far you can bend your pinky back.
Oh, no.
How far? Try to bend your pinky back.
Push
as hard as you can. Push as hard as you can.
Why did you roast it? You said I could touch my pinky back to my room.
Okay, ready for this? Okay, you ready? I'm watching. Ready? Ready? Ready?
All right, I guess.
All right. Okay. Is it on? Is it?
Yeah, it's just behind, it's just a delay.
That much? Okay. All right.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, I have your nose like any good
Yeah.
Okay, we are back. So our last session today, we want to talk a little bit about the way going forward. We're going to have our leadership team come up. We're going to talk about some of the things that we're doing in HEeD, how we can help you guys out. You guys are here. You guys are participating. So you guys are a lot of our members that, that really want to be engaged in all of this. So leadership team, if you guys can come on up. We're going to talk about some of the things that we've done, and we're going to talk about the different areas that we're working on in HEeD. And then after this, we're going to break out into the sessions at each of the different tables from our 4 areas, which you'll see our leadership teams over these 4 areas of the areas that we are kind of really trying to tackle in the higher education e-design world. So each of our leadership members are going to talk about these, and then they're going to sit at one of the tables, and we want you guys to go around. You guys can go to multiple tables if you want to, and then talk about some things you guys want out of these sessions, or what you want from the future of HEeD, like our professional development they put on this conference. They're going to talk a little bit more about those kind of things in the future. So I'm going to turn the time over to them right now, and then just remember that we're going to want your feedback on what we're going to do to help you guys in the future.
Yep, you guys started off.
Okay, so when we break into our groups, Tyler and I are going to be talking about the area of professional development. What is it that you as members want to see us do in terms of professional development? For example, this conference was very, different in the format. We hope, you've been enjoying this. So we definitely want to talk about, what did you like, what you didn't like, what would you like to see us do differently for the next conference? How often would you like for us to do conferences like this? Do we want to move conferences around to different places? Bouncing back between East Coast, West Coast, those kinds of things. So I want to talk about the conferences. We also want to talk about other types of professional development opportunities for you. For example, are you interested in us doing webinars? If so, how often? How long should those webinars be? What kinds of topics do you want to see us, offer in terms of professional development? So there are, if there are other opportunities, professional development opportunities that you'd like to see us explore, that's the kind of conversations that we're going to have at our breakout session. So we encourage anyone who wants to, really help shape that for the organization, what professional development looks like for HEeD, then we invite you to join Tyler and I. So, okay. All right. Now I'm going to turn it over to Amy.
Or Ray.
Ray.
You got fingers.
Ray, come up. Come
I'll
up.
stand next to you.
we're a duo team, so we work on this together. We would just say we are really excited. We are both very interested in research and publication. And so what we would like to see happen is your input on what you would like us to research, what you would like to be a part of if you were going to join our research team, and different ways that we could publish that research, whether we wanted to talk about creating a journal or an annual type of newsletter or something to that effect. So those are kind of what we would like to have a discussion about at our table. We'll share a little bit about the research we've collected thus far. We have done some research and gathered some things that we think are interesting. From our perspective, I think we'll like to start small and grow from that and eventually get some teams together so that maybe one team could go and start the research on one item and another team could start research on a different item. And that's kind of our vision.
I think at our table, we're going to share the HEeD research mission. Some of the publications is part of it. And then there is also talking about how we can create a library of resources for our organization, for designers. So especially I've heard a lot over the conference about the embedded versus the centralized ID. And I think especially for the embedded ID, having that connection and having a place, a repository to go to will be helpful. And we've sort of broken up our small presentation into kind of an overview of what research has been done on instructional designers and then what research has been done on instructional design principles, and kind of looking for ways that we can fit into a research agenda, that we can formulate questions that have not been answered yet, or even replicate questions that have been answered. So we're going to do a little overview and then talk about research questions, generate research questions for, future studies. That's us.
Go that way.
Yes.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Mom.
All right. I'm Travis, guy with the mutated pinky. So my group is on certifications. And so what we've been talking about in our group is how we can certify instructional designers and certain skills or even competencies. And specifically with that, we've also been looking at digital badging and how we can incorporate that with our certifications. So that's kind of what we'll be talking about at our table, me and Josh here. So if you're interested in that and interested in giving input on what types of competencies or what areas of instructional design that you'd like to see certifications in, I would love to have that conversation with you.
And Ed is representing the networking team. Megan Kohler couldn't make it. She's our virtual attendee from Penn State, so he's our representative.
So some of the things that we've been working on is as a networking committee is just taking charge of the social media aspects of the HEeD Association. We're also very interested in finding ways to connect with each other outside of events like this. I mean, it's been great to meet all of you guys, and but there's a lot of other members who aren't here who are attending virtually and whatnot. We would love to be able to find ways to connect with each other. One of the ideas that we've had is there's a lot of conferences that all of us attend as instructional designers, and we've thought it would be good to have networking events at those particular conferences where we have like a HEeD association meetup and things like that. So there's a little bit of overlap with us and like some of the things that professional development has said. We're interested in having working with them to do webinars and things like that as opportunities to network with one another. So that's mainly the area that we're coming from. So that's what we'll be discussing at my table.
Okay, so let's break up now, and like we said, we have about a half hour to do this, but feel free to go to multiple tables and share your ideas and anything you guys want to in these different areas. So.
We're going to have little Post-it notes, which I'm going to have Iris pass out, some Post-it notes and some markers. This is an opportunity for you to just write down your ideas and talk with those people who are involved. And so we'll have networking back here, research and publication right there. We'll have certification here and professional development here. So this is an opportunity also to get your blood circulating and get rid of stuff. Thank you. You're welcome.
See what their ideas are on any of those, since we're not
Sure.
gonna have them.
And to be honest, how do I launch that discussion? Maybe you can set it up for me and then I can jump in.
All right, so Tiffany already told them to go to the HEeD breakout. So we're gonna join HEeD breakout.
Tiffany brought them into this.
Oh,
Okay, then that's
They
fine.
want to be in our group. Oh, do they?
that's
Okay.
fine.
All right, never mind. Sorry, I
Alright.
just didn't want to leave them
No,
out.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Do you want to sit with Ed?
Yes.
Because he probably needs to talk to that group.
Yes.
I'll go. Yep, I'll do Travis's.
And now it's like, scale that back and figure out what are. Yeah. Okay, can, I'm gonna have to do so yeah, when we start off with, thinking about, so when we originally started on, the word actually, when we originally joined in, so these were people, we said, yeah, we'll do the professional development, we didn't actually realize it was a conference was gonna be part of professional development, so that's what we've been focused on the last 6 months, that, we haven't really got to focus on the other side of the professional development, which is physical as well. The question would be, how do you see the professional development? How do you want it to be like, that, do we see it as we have like a WordPress site that we can do, it's blogs, right? And it's more about someone comes to one area, realize walk about it, that kind of stuff. If we set it up where we have a webinar, most webinars are
Right, if you get credentials, to agree, that's really
it's something that team members are charged us. We have big now, we have to do a big, so fire ants really bad in the south, right? And so there's a big fire ant group, it's all across the southeast. And they, and then with that, they translated into another one that's like insects, and so the team I worked with for a long time had that. And so every month they had a meeting, right? It's called good bugs and good bugs, bad bugs. And they found like a certain person was in charge of facilitating, and they found a speaker that was not part of the group, and they would be invited in to speak. But a certain member was, and we delegated out and said, hey, for the parent group, you're going to be in charge of this meeting. So you got to start the meeting, we'll give you the tools. If you got started, you got to moderate it, you got to introduce everyone, and you got to take care of it. So that's how, we put it on there. The members can be involved as well. What's that? Yeah.
I missed that, sorry.
When you have a lot of energy as a work, because in the future, it's from the physical. When I started, I wouldn't, and that's only because I have on the association. And then they eventually, they get that somewhere else. So, I mean, I'm all for more to add in there, but I don't, I'd be worried about it being like having a webinar where it's not like, and what we have done, like 3 to 4, like one on a quarter or an hour.
Yeah.
All right, so stay on that track. What do you, currently, what do you guys use for other guys? So like, that's a big broad topic. It really depends on your organization. So, host, so we use, if we were to host a webinar, we would use, what's called Scopia is what we use, right? Again, it's, we have a really good server to run on. But if you try to host ThinkTank, it would fail completely because we don't have the infrastructure. Or host Connect. And so like if we do a project with the Connect, we actually partner with the state. The state is CBO. So that's the thing, I think. There's all the similar ones. Like, we're gonna do a webinar on how do you try to watch
We have a government. We have, I think that's what we did for HEeD, because they are about
yeah, that's like,
Or even. For this group that has. This is exactly what I hear you
yeah, so I think that's the thing that we'll have to do some research on that. Does Google, does our Hangout allow our guys to go, okay. Yeah, because a lot of times the internal archiving of like Sophia or Renato or those, not the easiest to figure out where those are. So like server. At least with what we would say, I think is our thing that we use. It's fine, it's more about the business I support this right now. I mean, besides training and building. That's pretty good. Spend a lot of money on.
We talked yesterday a little about this. Tech skills are already certifiable. Like you go from many of them are positive reviews from faculty you work with, or some sort of or negative reviews. It's not negative either. It's a beautiful or something like that.
I was gonna say, we've got 3 hours.
Those are all important parts, but this is so if you're looking at so all three of those so if you look at how this and then, so as most people that in our office want to hold on, we can well, justified because one, yeah, there are still I think one times with like Camille, like we had to meet her after 5 o'clock. For us, we're really like this almost and do this. It's a
really interesting area. It's really complicated.
Okay, so then what about the for the first year?
And I know this will automatically have some idea of choices. And I know
I think you'll get a pretty good tell on the first one or two, how long people hang around, how long people actually attend.
What about and then
There tends to be like sort of identity.
What about subject matter experts? So think about the first year. So you think the first year that ideally you want to set up once you start, set you plan a schedule for the year. So you already know the year in advance that you do like that. I've seen that be the most effective. But so for the first year though, would you think that you should try to find outside speakers or focus internally and do focus on us as a social volunteers or 4 volunteers and 2 people.
But I think it's just kind
Yeah, so it's about interesting that I mentioned in the group that I want to. It has been about it was like in 2006 or something, and it's hard to do Janet. Work together. They were trying to have an everything that they go in there, and I use that. And, you know,
Right, so you guys like the idea of you have two people in charge of the room. You have the moderator. Yes, and you have two people.
So from a research perspective, for the initial you need to have a little bit more.
It depends. And so it depends on like what the topic is. We're talking about right? I don't think we can totally So that's something I'm really interested in.
Some sort of formula.
Because if you can present it as a council around the
Sometimes what you're trying to do is take someone's experience, which is so an abstract assumption. I think just video. In 45 minutes. So I was thinking about
Because you can say, I'm not as interested in video.
I just use it. Trees don't really do much with elements. They're mostly the big ideas, creative courses, WordPress courses. We help them start it. Guide you to the heavy lifting, the majority So our twos create a lot more. So just in terms of quantity, twos are considered, it's a lower level thing. You don't do any presentations, you do a lot of the threes do all, most of the
All right, so what are your thoughts on that? Skill set.
Quantity
For survey, right?
You're looking at two topics. 30
You want somebody to give what you
that says something. Maybe.
You hope you get it.
Yeah.
So one of the things you want to do we want to just want to look at this as not saying how do you also going to get certified. We want to make it like the first one is one of the you got there's more courses why
that was for
But you have the option if you want to sit in. So you have really, you have like 3 separate tracks that run together. You just don't know.
But I'm not. It's really good before here. Really is targeted to my interest, but I might push that longer anymore.
So that was instruction design, multimedia, and nutrition. I think even within those, you could do a series within each one where it's a 3-part series where the first part is you're talking about multimedia videos. You could talk about the technical side of that. One about the theory about how you use video, what are best practices, and then the administrative side, how do you improve yourself, how do you start this up, things like that. And if you have bigger topics, you could do a series where people could feel a little bit more invested. But then, like if you did a technical one, you wouldn't want to do video 1 and then 4 months. We're going to talk about the next step. People are still interested.
Still, it's the same thing. If you make
So we made company on some topic with you right up for me.
it's not something that anybody can I can go in and know install, going, I can pass that and also. So it's whether it's like full shirt. I think that's actually a great way to do. This is more the theory behind as we develop something.
Yeah, setting some spaces, bringing the videographer on board, like professional information and skills.
And then the technical one might be using, like Word.
Word, what it is talking about with like the one-side studio, that kind of thing, practical uses. Okay, so.
Well, it doesn't make sense you do that. It's just showing that it's people respect us enough to say we have a research as they build things out as they develop this different what whatever else they do, they have professional development webinars and they choose we actually are the owners of that, and so that's the whole point. Yeah, we're the ones that want to keep this as kind of like sorry to go back to HR. Sherm is the name of the organization. But they have to be separate from these. And when you do that, they become the officiating body of the group. They have to do that. We want to have ourselves separate. So we can say, we have experts in instruction.
Yeah, you can also recap what we have. We have
say, this is no, I
said this is the most effective webinar. You break up the webinars into kind of 3 separate tracks and really coordinate the basic research concept. So, like media, so we have instructional design, it can be using media inputs like the multimedia part would be like how we develop multimedia, and like maybe the administration was how do I make a team. Does that make sense? And then we felt like yes, we on board that's very important. Time to working with the West Coast technologies and very important to figure out what to do. And try to stay around that 3-5-minute time frame, but maybe there is room to grow plus or minus. And it's maybe that way. Yeah. And then subject matter experts should be a mix of both internal and external.
Depending on the topic.
Their comments.
Yeah.
Like here, I heard somebody say, I wanted them to sit down with a person and like, okay, I need to know. Having a wealth
Yes.
That's exactly, you don't really check on it, the higher so it's easiest to certify the lower and go on that. So the higher you go, it sounds like you're talking about something more complicated, like new ideas, innovation, that's the highest in like standings. And that's what it's hard to certify. And yet, then there's another model.
And then you're at the time that
they don't even decide to certify all kinds of aspects.
reach out to them.
It's limit their scope to a very narrow and just bring them, this is all students. The rest of it, yeah. So for instance, soft skills, just ignore soft skills. And just focus on some aspect.
Yeah.
Whatever.
We are we're too focused on just moving forward. All we see the deadlines.
So like a little bit lower than the highest. I don't know.
Learning engineer.
Is it just like
Did you guys by chance read that article?
You start
thinking about that. It's should instructions on to be called learning engineers. One person and it was like my first guy. I wonder whether it's an industry that makes two terms all instead of higher education. What instructional design industry was perfectly valuable without falsely claiming to be chosen after all. I just thought that was funny. It's very true. Let's tell an engineer.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Is there any way, I guess it's just, yeah. Even instructional design is an instructional designer doesn't usually do like, yeah, I just thought that was funny. Yeah. Is there any, like, you're just slapping and calling it something using. Right. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense.
Use sort of that, use like the surveyor model, you can go for something less quantifiable. if you make it to 3 or 4 other IDs, have to testify that this person is not having this review process. Yeah. And then it just becomes like an order or an association. Maybe some of the professional art unions, like the editors union and the screenwriters guild, how do those do membership and supervision?
It's a little bit more.
The ones that are here speaking about
it's just a takeout slash. And so all different plugins, add-ons, tools, stuff. So I would
Does seem like such a long going professional development activities. Yeah.
But the format was just getting the group together to
On the show world, you go back and close the
something that was something that you watched. So there's always just like 5 minutes and but then there's some parts around politicians, you know, like through the type of testing. And I'm thinking, I was thinking for the networking. Yeah. But and that's what I thought about melodies, but I thought it was another, and I don't know how it goes with the weather. The different, but anyone that somebody led it,
all aspects.
Which is one of the reasons when you go to conference where you presentation. And those who are going to the presentation, you're not done the play here, like afterthought. Actually talk and have to share your ideas. Are there any other ideas to focus on those? You may have to sit down you know, because it may take a little while for you to open up and start sharing.
Our school is actually doing in person for sure. They have to be Again, something that are a little more
not if you go
It's now in a can on the wall, like and up there, and not in that
Well, I think that's what we're kind of doing. I was gonna go back and forth. My fear is just bringing the devil's advocate side, and so the gentleman who hired me said, you know, I never hired anyone with a background in certification. I would if they had a lot of other experience. Looking for different degrees, maybe a couple different degrees in different fields, so they can bring a lot of knowledge and perspective. Maybe in a way that's really an asset. I know most of us have, you know, a lot of us. Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. No, but there seems to be, there seems to be more and more obviously higher education.
This course, we had Atlanta, you know, so an hour and a half miles. This is so you know, everybody knows what it's how you should write.
Last year, I think I'm going 2 weeks.
Formal portions to do something like, you know, like oral things, they'll have their own, every year. It's that,
That's the organization.
right, but they have smaller.
Okay, we want to wrap up in about 5 minutes.
And last thing about conferences, do you like from the ThinkTank idea. You guys want to merge, or you guys willing to merge until we have proposals, submit all that, or do you like this idea? Absolutely. Yes. We'll work on the structure, you know, how this, you know, like our room is bigger, so we're gonna work bigger. Yeah, yeah, but that's what
I like that. They offer like production and talk to them. I feel like sometimes they're lost. So I'm asking questions that things that I didn't know. To make even more production.
Yeah, so what I would do is what I would do is show us all the teams.
Yeah.
It's really
All the time.
my main concern is if I wasn't working, that's why.
We just have, you know, the we only have, they have, those maybe will go, you know, more heavy selection focus proposals. Give us opportunity to really certain good topics that we can talk, the rest of them are like this, we can get like, hey, what tools are we
Don't
using?
need that much.
By 4 o'clock, everyone.
There needed to be a big break after lunch. There's an hour and a half for people.
Is there a program?
Do a lot of 45-minute Give a time like today, designated like workshop time where people can go sit down together and work on things and do projects together if they want to, where people have questions or like want to set a lab, the filming studio, things like that.
Yeah. It's like the PTL in Wisconsin, it's I'm out there, it's like a 3-week process. I'm fluent in what understand the basics of it.
Into the semester a lot there. And I have a lot of hard all the time, right? Once it's rolled out, you gotta tweak something. But once you've done that kind of, that's how you know, there's a little bit of a lull.
But I'm concerned about the other conferences, because you've got online learning, social, EduCon, they're all in the fall. I liked it. I didn't think it was that close. Yeah.
Everybody missed the And I personally, I know it's hard to I didn't mind going to EC because I told me I think we could so that, yeah, I think that's, but most stuff, you know, but for you guys, you got to transition everywhere else. So. Hotels order more on the pricing side. That's one of the planes are very hard to keep. I wonder if we could branch out there.
All right, let's wrap it up. And can we have our leadership team come up to the front? Leadership team, come up.
Are we doing panel?
You can put it there. Or, I mean, as long as they can hear. You guys can actually probably just have a seat. Yeah, just, yeah, because we're going to kind of go around.
Do you want to turn the camera around? Oh, right.
So you guys.
Oh, do we need to all be over there?
No, either one. And I'll just move the camera. I'll sit back here. I'll just do the camera. So that's fine.
Yeah, we can start. We have our leadership team come up to the front.
I think so.
Well, we appreciate all of your feedback and how we can move forward. And right now what we're going to do is just, because we were kind of broken up, we're going to talk a little, we have the leadership team now talk about some of the great ideas that we came up with at each table. So we can kind of help everybody know what we're going to try to do going forward. And then also this will give you guys an opportunity to, if you want to ask any questions to a different group of the table you didn't get to go to or anything like that. We have about, 15 to 20 minutes. And then we can, and then we'll, after that, then we'll wrap up and talk to you a little bit more about the rest of HEeD kind of going forward in our future. So I will leave it open. Let's start with who want, someone want to start?
Yes, I do.
Oh, okay, perfect. Can you speak up? Well, I'll just put this over here. Okay, you want to just, okay, yes. You guys come up to the podium with that one.
Being an introvert, I like to get these things out of the way first.
There's a little side table.
Perfect, thank you. So just a couple of quick things that we came up with. We talked a lot about the social media channels and which channels people are actually using and which channels people are not using. The general consensus was that people tend to use Facebook more for personal kinds of things rather than professional, and they like to keep it separated like that. And LinkedIn is more of a good place to keep your resume, but maybe not a good place for networking. We talked about Google Plus HEeD doesn't have a page yet, but that was talked about as a good place to connect. One of the tools that was really popular that was introduced at our table was, or that we discussed, was Slack, that many of you may have heard of and use. But so we discussed a lot of ideas about how Slack could be used as a way to network with each other, where we could have different channels discussing different things, including a channel where we talk about innovations, maybe a channel where we talk about specific topics or problems, and maybe those conversations could go on for some time and then maybe overlap a little bit with a professional development committee where those things culminate into some kind of webinar. We talked a little bit about having maybe coming up with a way to have awards within the association. So best course design or something, I don't know, but something within the association so that you could actually tell the faculty that they might get an award for all the hard work they're doing. One idea too was to have, we're also interested in ways to expand, at this conference there's been a really heavy emphasis on the instructional designers, but also to expand the specialization for the multimedia professionals as well. And one idea that we had also was along both lines was just to maybe come up with a way for the association to facilitate mentorships between people who have just barely joined the field to those who are seasoned veterans in the field, so that they have, they might be the only person at their institution doing multimedia. And so it would be nice for them to be able to reach out to somebody who's been doing it for 10 or 15 years. We just talked a little bit more about networking events at conferences where we might, just have lunch together or something like that. That pretty much, I think, covers most of what we talked about. Okay.
All right, so we were talking about certifications. One of the topics we were discussing is just how broad and varied instructional design positions are, and how it would be difficult to maybe certify as an instructional designer, but that we would break those down into skill sets and maybe even competencies below that level. There are other organizations out there that have certifications for instructional designers, but not specific to higher ed. And so that's where I think we can really provide some value there as we develop our certifications. We talked about micro-learning, credentialing, also talked about developing credentials for other skills that are related to instructional design, like project management, or maybe even leadership, and have that bent towards instructional designers rather than maybe from a business school or something like that, where you traditionally see those. We also talked about, and I think this is going to be our biggest challenge as we move forward, and it will be a long-term haul as we develop this, but how do we measure these things? We talked about PLAs, we talked about like apprenticeships or peer review process, or all sorts of different types of assessment tools that can be utilized. And so those are some things that still need to be determined in the future as we move forward. So we'd still like to get feedback and get input on your ideas. There was also the idea of within HEeD putting together like an online teaching certification. And that might be something that would be a little outside our realm, but we see that as something that could be provided for faculty as they move from institution to institution. Some, a national certification. I think there might be some value there as well. So those were the main topics that we covered in certification. And like I said, I'd like to get more input and hear what you have to say. We can continue this discussion.
All right, so the we talked on the professional development. We talked about a lot. We put it on the cork board. The big thing we first tossed around is like about webinars. That we felt like that was kind of a big part. That's gonna be a big part of the professional development is trying to plan these monthly webinars. One thing we had a good Cody kind of mentioned it that we met now, but if we don't continue to talk and we don't continue to meet, then our likelihood of dropping out could be a lot better because if we don't keep showing the value that we are keep sharpening each other, right? And so webinars is the way. We talked about some different options. The one we kind of fell back to is just continuing with Google on Hangout. It's what we've been using this whole time. We're going to try it first and see. It does have archiving, and the archiving goes straight to YouTube, and it's going to be easy to share with other people. And then with Google and Hangout, we get all these options of all the Google platform tools as well. So we can use Google Slides, we can use Google Docs, Google Sheets, and if we're using all that, they translate very seamlessly into this. We all kind of decided that other platforms out there are great, like Adobe Connect, Scopia, Panopto. All those things are great for capturing things, but the archiving ability and then sharing the archiving may sometimes gets very difficult. How you actually share that, and so YouTube is the most universal platform, probably one of the most universal platforms in the world. So it'd be super easy just to give you a video and you could watch it. We felt that that on the webinars that they needed, we kind of like the idea of having, being crowdsource the topics. We'll crowdsource the topics, and then we all, you as members decide what the topics are. You help us decide those topics, and we'll plan it out a year in advance. And so that way what's happening. A year in advance. Here's April, we're doing this, March, we're doing this. And then we like the idea of kind of setting them up on tracks. And so they may be quarterly based, but inside that quarter, maybe the topic is media. And then that topic, the first month, it's instructional design media. And how do you put multimedia into your instructional design? And then the second month, it's based on how does the multimedia team, is for multimedia people, and how do you make an effective multimedia project? Right. And then the third week, the third month could be on administration. Right. And how does an administration, how do you effectively lead a multimedia team? Right. And then once that quarter's over, then we'll move on to maybe the next topic is something else related. And that way everyone kind of gets a piece of the puzzle. And then if you're not administrator, but you want to see what administrators' thoughts are on leading teams, you get to jump in that as well. And you get the ability to be very diverse in your topics. And then we went on and talked about that subject matter experts. Right now, we're going to focus on each other, at least for the first year, because you notice that what we're talking about, we've done, we have people that are just now getting into it, but then we have people that have been doing it for 20 years, and so that's great. We can lean on each other for the first year, and we also thought, and that way the topics can be a little more centralized, and then maybe every once in a while bring in, a third-party person that's more of a broader topic, that gets people interested, but still using those tighter stuff. And then we went and we kind of talked about the conference, and this is something we'll all still want more feedback, but our table liked the idea of having a think tank like we had right now. We like the setup, but we decided that we probably need a little bit more breaks in between our think tank sessions, and then need a little bit more breaks, and then throw in some proposals in there as well. So maybe next year we'll open it up for proposals. It won't be a lot of proposals, and so we'll be very selective on what those topics are, right? And that's good because then it also, we thought it makes it more competitive, and so when you submit a proposal, we get to pick the best of the best, and those will kind of get to talk, and then the rest will break into those breakout sessions, and then also working on those breakout sessions to make them more focused. And so we'll have breakout sessions that's just for multimedia, instead of being maybe we'll have some breakout sessions that are a topic, and then we have subtopics, but then others is here's breakout session of the multimedia team, and so the multimedia people can get together and talk about multimedia as a team and how that works. So just kind of developing this process a little bit more, and when doing that, you have the ability, if you have smaller breakout rooms, you have the ability to have more online attendees as well, jump in those. And that's another goal of the conference, is to be able to have virtual attendees that are active participants in the actual conferences. And so you have these breakout sessions, and virtual attendees can, raise their hand and and jump in and be just as active as someone that's in the room. I think that has a lot of value because not everyone can make it to the conference, but if I can join in virtually and still be active and still learn, that's going to be very valuable. And then that's pretty much where we landed.
So that's what we were actually talking over, the networking. What was it called again? Slack. So we're thinking of using that as an outlet to be able to continue these conversations, because absolutely, I mean, to Tyler's point, we don't want to lose the momentum that we've got going on here. I'd sent you an email earlier too that has like just the contacts names, but I think what we want to do is continue conversation.
I mean, unless it's truly a private,
Right.
Chances are somebody else in the room
can benefit from it.
Yep. And so, and Melissa brought up a good point. One thing we're thinking about doing is an idea we threw around is open office hour as well. So that's a group they did that she worked on a project, and basically like we may say one day a month, it's open office hour, and come, jump in, jump out. We'll be there hanging out. Everyone just jumps in and be like, hey, you're in here. What's going on? Everyone, everyone gets opportunity to share, and it's just, it's sort of one of those ways where you keep making those connections with people, especially, us being in the South. You guys are only 2 hours away in Vanderbilt. Kennesaw State's only 2 hours away. And so, if we had those connections, we're able to make those. And, maybe we, now we know how to meet up. Maybe we need to bring our administrators with us to see what you're doing. And those are options because we're still building that, we're building off of networking. We're, making that possible.
Well, with the idea of networking, I just thought, how can this be spread to schools and such that aren't?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right.
So, go ahead.
No.
I think that's also another a step of networking. That's the next step, and we'll address this hopefully in just a moment in the next presentation. But we want to extend our outreach, right? We want to bring more people to the table. We want to actually, we're great at 167, but let's keep growing. If you have ideas, feel free to send them to our way, but that is a part of our strategy right now.
Yeah. Do you have a flyer or something? Because I am going to a Mid-Atlantic conference.
Okay.
In April 30th, and I can just.
Absolutely.
I can just put it as part of the program.
Yeah.
If we don't have one, we'll create one.
Real quick, one of the other ideas that we had too, that if you're going to other conferences like that, just to be sure to be active on Twitter on the hashtag for that conference, and be sure to mention the HEeD Association when you're at those conferences too, and use the conference hashtag.
And we can also we can create our own hashtag for that, like DevLearn HEeD, you know what I mean? And then from us, we can actually be talking within the different sessions.
Okay. You're good. So we had a really great conversation, but ours is just really a budding conversation. We have a lot to talk about yet. We were on research and publication, and so we addressed quite a few different things. The first thing we talked about was what were topics that we thought were important for us to start to research. We put together a pretty big list of different ideas. We talked about pedagogy versus andragogy. We talked about visual design and the need for that, digital literacies, navigation, cognitive load. We did not put in there accessibility and assessments, but I think that's another topic all of us would kind of talk about. We also had a conversation about how we like to begin our publication for HEeD. Do we want to start as a newsletter? Are we going to eventually create a journal? Is there something we would like to do as far as a peer review process, or how are we going to approach that? We talked about creating, Leslie at our table knew a little bit about IRB and having an IRB process that we can put across institutions so we can have an effective process going forward with our research. And we did put together a survey as a research team. And okay, and we would ask each of you, it's going to go onto the HEeD site, and we would ask everybody, even if you weren't on the research team and you'd like to go take a look, it's going to ask you to give some input on what you think would be important research ideas and what you would like to see. And so,
it hasn't been shared yet, but it's
Okay.
really simple.
With virtual people?
No.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
And then we hit whatever button is there. I struggle with your machine for some reason. If
Sorry.
you want to arrow,
Yep.
no worries. If you want to arrow down and like click the survey to start, that would be great.
Yes, I will do that.
Did I have it accepting?
Oh, because we're not accepting them until
shoot.
after.
Thank you. Okay, I wasn't accepting. So it will look like this. It's called HEeD ID Research Survey. And it just has, it's really quick. It's like 11 questions. Click, click, click. If you have a topic you'd like us to research, you can type it in there. I did ask briefly for just kind of also a quick review of what you thought of this whole HEeD process and what you thought of how this first initial association meeting went. And there's a space for you to type in about that for us to get some feedback on that. But that's really all, that was kind of our start over with research and publication. That's all I got.
All right.
So in addition to the survey, don't forget on the boards or tablet, there is a feedback board at the bottom. So that's kind of our open forum. If you have any thoughts, ideas, comments, suggestions, rants, raves, whatever it may be, feel free to use that as well as the survey open.
We're having problems with that.
I think so. I keep trying to add things in there.
We didn't like that
It's
either.
telling me now that it doesn't even exist.
And it does that sometimes, and then it'll try again, and it does exist. I don't know if there are a bunch of us on it all at once or what it is, but I've had troubles with it yesterday. And then it would appear.
Oh, there it is, it's back. All right. Okay, just want to make sure it hasn't disappeared from my account.
Okay, before I start, I think we need a stretch break. So I think everybody should stand up for a couple seconds, kind of go get some water if you need it. We'll come back.
I have a question.
Yes. Yeah, it's still
So can I be wrong for the certification?
Yeah, and you said
Huh? Yep. Actually, Technie said she wrote that, and that's what we'll do. Coffee and Coke. All right, I think everybody's back. I'm really excited about this part. I've been actually waiting for this moment for most of the conference for many reasons. Number one, because number one, it's been a successful conference in my opinion. In fact, somebody yesterday, I think it was Owen, asked me yesterday, so what do you think? Has it been a success? And I thought, you know what, anything over 20 people and the fact that we didn't totally break down online was a success for me. So I'm really happy with what's been done. Yeah.
Can I say something real quick?
Please.
I'm sorry. We introduced the leadership team and everything, and I think early on we mentioned Tiffany on the committee, but she has been so great.
She has been.
with
Stand up.
opening
Take
the
your.
for the whole group, to her and for the whole group, because she's been fantastic helping with the virtual attendees.
And to be honest, I feel like all of you have been helping. You've made this conference what it is. It was meant to be an unconference in the fact that everybody contributes. And what we've got, these boards are full. We have so many action points from what we've created here. So thank you. I just wanted to go over kind of the beginnings. Somebody asked me, actually, I think it was Melody last night, how do we even meet? Well, back in July 2015, we had the idea, initially just for a conference, but expanded it more into an association. Before we even ran with it, I thought I'd email some of you to see if that is even something you wanted. And thus began the big email, I guess, what is it? Email thread. I spent hours watching Netflix and searching for all of you online, and I have to tell you, some of you are very buried, and so I'm glad I found you. So and I'm happy because I had such positive responses. No, I can only remember one person that thought, well, maybe this won't turn into anybody. But most people that responded saying, I want to be a part of this. How do I get involved? And this has been so needed in our space. And so I appreciate your responses. From there, we created a website. We also created an Active Directory. That was kind of one of our first things to do, is put you all in contact with one another. We tried to make it cheap so everybody can join, relatively low cost. And so I'm really excited to say that after, we started with about, I think, 10 of us, which was my team. Good job, team. We've gone to actually, and as of last night, there was 167. So we are growing, and I'm excited about that. Not only that, but the leadership team, and we've mentioned them a lot, but they have volunteered. This is not paid to be able to serve in these positions. If you'd like to be involved, we encourage you to get involved. They need committee members. We need to make some of these things happen. And so please, if you do want to, feel free to reach out to them. So we have a team of 8, or a leadership team of 8, and many more in the committee ranks as well. We have other people too that said, my schedule's too busy, but I want to be in a focus group. Like if you ever decide that you really need somebody to think through some of these issues, they're nodding, they need that too. So there's lots of needs, and this can be a very active community. So that's where we've come from. And I wanted to announce where we're going. So about 2 months ago, I was approached by an educational organization that really admired what we were doing, and said, we're actually in the business of going to be creating something very similar. We want to create an instructional design component to our association, but you're already doing it so well. Why don't we just join efforts? And that ensued several months of meetings. I'll tell you, I was pretty hard-nosed at any potential, and I set some really high standards for what we wanted. But after some deliberation, I feel good that we're going to be able to announce that we are actually partnering with UPSEA. Many of you know UPSEA, they're institutional members. And I'm really excited about this, mostly because as I've considered the different institutions and who we might partner with, UPSEA makes the most sense to me. And the reason why is because they cater to online leadership, people who are in positions of online leadership throughout different universities. I think our most natural partner in what we do is not maybe necessarily the faculty. We can have conversations with them, but is with that leadership. We need to be synonymous. We need to be walking hand in hand as we go forward. We need them to understand what we do. We need to have them understand, we need to understand what they do, and also presents opportunities for us to get to know those people in our institutions and hopefully project career-wise for some of us.
Oh, sorry to interrupt, but if any of you guys are taking pictures of this, please don't tweet this out yet.
We'll do it in a second.
We're gonna do this, but also,
yeah.
don't. And only reason we're
Quick
saying that
Twitter.
too is because they need to. They actually have. UPSEA right now has a conference, and they're gonna announce this exact same thing
At their conference.
which
Today
is going on
in 2 hours.
In 2 hours.
So-
So we don't want,
Yeah.
for whatever reason, if someone gets a tweet from saying UPSEA, so please just hold off on that, just so it can be a surprise to everyone.
Yeah, maybe at the end. I
We
think
can
that's a
do
great
that,
idea.
yeah.
Sure.
They
That's
do.
true. We can all sit sideways, right? Anyway.
Okay, so thank you for keeping that
Appreciate
conversation.
that. Thank you. In doing that, both myself and the president of EPSEA shared videos. We went to our studios and created videos. He wanted to talk to you. So I'm, oh, hold on, time out. We're doing, let's see.
Oh, is it actually?
We can turn him on, maybe. There's always something technologically. You know, let's try again.
I wish I could be with you in Washington
Sorry, let's restart
Skip it back.
today.
Okay, hold on.
There we go. We get the fade in and everything.
Good afternoon. I'm Bob Hanson, Chief Executive Officer of UPCEA. I wish I could be with you in Washington today, but I'm in San Diego for our 101st annual conference. Many of you may not know UPCEA, but in the past 5 years, we've established ourselves as the association for senior leaders charged with managing their institution's online enterprises. In June, we'll once again present the Summit for Online Leadership in Washington, D.C. Offered in partnership with the American Council for Education, the Summit has become the premier event for deans, directors, and other managers of online units and programs. More recently, we established the Online Leadership Roundtable, a body of chief online learning officers. These were important steps for UPSEA, but as all of you know so well, quality online education requires more than thought leadership and sound management practices. It requires instructional designers, multimedia experts, and other talented members of a design team. Today, I'm excited to announce our commitment to serving the instructional design community by welcoming the Higher Education E-Design Association to UPSEA. We're honored that Camille Funk and her volunteer leadership team have chosen UPSEA as your new home. Camille and I are convinced that with the resources of a major national association behind it, HEeD can reach its full potential. I look forward to meeting you at future events and to working together to build the best organization for instructional designers in the nation. Thanks again, and have a great conference in DC.
One of the things I actually need to point out on this slide is we are changing because we're joining with them and their association. We are now the HEeD Collaborative. So going forward, that's what we'll be known as. One of the things I was sure to make, and we'll talk through some of these issues, but what I was sure to make that we had in place is that we had our own space within this, within this UPSEA. That we have our own, one of the things that I've mentioned, or I'll talk about here, is that we have our own version of some of their platform things that they have. We're creating our own space. But the nice thing is that we'll be in relationship with those who actually are in those administrative positions. Moving forward from here on out, and this kind of speaks to some of the questions that were asked, we're going to be extending membership to all people, all instructional design teams that have UPSEA memberships, institutional memberships. What that means for you, you guys, you invested in the cause. And so we're going to carry out your membership if you aren't with UPSEA for another year as a part of that. And then we can have one-off options moving forward. But that means what we'll do is send out a list of all the UPSEA members. It's a huge list. I'm excited. We're going to be adding masses to our conversations, and it's going to be on us to welcome them into the group. And so I'm really excited to see what we can do. They have a really robust networking platform that they specifically use for their communication. I've asked them to create one specifically for us. I want our conversations to be unique. And they're working with us to do that. So we'll work with our networking team and decide on the best option for us to be able to network with each other. We are now part of the Center for Online Leadership. That is their brand. That is what they've created, which means that we are we are there with multiple different people in that collaboration. And one of the things I really like about this is it provides people in positions here to potentially have a career progression as we get to know our leaders and get to start working with them a little bit more directly. Certification possibilities will be achieved a lot faster. They have some things already in place. I'm excited about that. And it was funny because I mentioned badging and micro-credentialing, and they're in conversations right now about to sign contracts with people who do that. That's ages above where we could have gone. We're still startup now, so I'm excited to be able to announce that. They have a library of resources right now that we get to go in and curate just for us, and then what we can do is add more to that and have outlets specifically for us. Conferences and webinar options enhancing, one of the nice things, and I know my team's gonna love it over here, they have a support team to be able to help us to put these conferences together and a budget to be able to help us afford coffee. So that'll be nice. Yay.
No coffee.
That's right. And lastly, they do have research and publication outlets. They actually have a specific marketing team for online that they do, and they're going to be doing a benchmark study on instructional design and in our position right here. So they're going to launch that benchmark study, and we're going to be working with our group back in the back. So I'm excited about this. There's a lot of potential here. I think we're going to be able to do a lot more than we could have done even in the next couple of years in having these resources at our fingertips. But I'm sure you guys have questions, and so I do want to open it up for questions if you have any. So here you go. Yes.
Do we still have our own website, or are we moving on to?
Good question. They would like us to be part of theirs, but we're going to have our own landing page and platform specifically for just us. So if there's a big transition, it'll be a merge, or we'll transition everybody over. You'll be hearing about it. So
I just wonder if are we still running the website ourselves,
yes.
or do we have to go through one of their web?
So it'll be through one of theirs because they have people who are webmasters and people to manage that for us, but we'll be able to control the content that goes on it. So that way. Yes. Sure. I'm gonna let Brian talk about that.
Yes.
Like those of us that are already members.
Right, how that transitions.
Okay, so the way that when we talked to them, again, like Camille said, is we wanted to make sure that we didn't lose anything with this. That we didn't want them to just take us over and be like, hey, guess what? Now that we got you guys and we got all your members, now be done. So we've taken a lot of time to make sure that that you guys were all taken care of. We wanted to make sure that nothing really changed for you. If anything, you guys got more benefits. So one of the things that we did is when it came to that membership part of it, the way they sold it to us was they said that if you are part of an UPSEA university, like your university, your institution has membership, that means going forward, you will never have to pay for membership with us ever again. So you're at the end of this, whatever, at the end of this year, or whatever your time frame would have been, you guys are just in there. Now, if you're someone who your institution is not part of it, you will continue to continue to have the same benefits that we have now, but they will set up another individual structure for that. The price point hasn't really been decided on yet. A lot of it is going to be dictated on how much content and again what the value is for that. So that's something that we're still in the process of working. It's not going to be it's going to be more than $25. I'll tell you that though. But you will have a lot more because of it. But it won't be something outrageous. It's not going to be like hundreds and hundreds of dollars or anything like that. So there's going to be two different ways. So again, for those that are actually already members or your institution is already part of it, you're good to go. You don't have anything to worry about anymore. That also means that all of your colleagues are also going to be able to be members. This also means that all of your leadership, all of your, directors and, all of them, they're actually already part of this. So this is also going to give you the ability to kind of have, because you're a part of this, you kind of have a little bit more, I don't want to say FaceTime, but virtually you'll have more FaceTime because you're connected in the same way that they're connected. You're going to have access to all of the same benefits that they have. So in their website right now, like Camille said, like all of these different things, the things that are already created out there for the leadership, you guys can have full access to. And again, if you've already paid for your membership, which all of you have that are here, you will have that running through the rest of your year for free. But you'll get all the extended benefits that all UPSEA members have. Did that answer your question? Okay. Any other questions? Good, Ray? Or I'm sorry, not Ray.
No, go ahead.
Amy. No, go ahead, Amy.
Okay. and this might be for another discussion, but is there any guidelines, is there about publication, what I need to do as far as research goes, as far as what I need to do about IRB equipment, is there anything like that that I can get my hands on?
Yes, and for leadership, just know that we're going to be introducing you to their staff as soon as possible. We've tried to flesh out all of these different areas, all the potential questions that we've had, so we're in good hands.
Other questions? Someone? Yep.
So I attended their conference. It's a really good conference. Are we gonna fold into that? Or are we gonna have something different?
Both.
I think the idea is, in fact, they were really sad that we couldn't attend their conference out in San Diego right now. Me too.
Yeah.
So I think the idea, especially when it comes to the Center for Online Leadership, we will now be invited to attend those meetings. But in that same sphere, we also want to host meetings that are specific to us. So the answer is both.
Yep. So we get the best of both worlds. We're still going to have very specific ones for us. We're still going to have our conferences. We haven't decided on exactly how that structure is going to be, but now we have more resources, so we can do more with them. But also, we will have the opportunity to go to those other ones as well.
Don't they have regional ones too?
Yes, they do.
They have the big one
And what we're hoping to do is maybe even piggyback or create our own version. Again, a lot of what they've done has been successful, and so there's no reason to we'd like to recreate that for our own space, but also be able to kind of bridge if we want.
And one of the things that when we talked with them, and like Camille said, we spent many hours in meetings and going back and forth with emails, trying to make sure that this was a good fit. We didn't want to disadvantage our members in any way at all. And we really feel that this won't disadvantage anyone. All we are doing is we're getting more benefits. So a lot of these things as well, one of the reasons why we agreed to this was that they're allowing Camille to be able to kind of have full range to still control all of this. They're not just taking it over and now we have to all of a sudden report to them. Obviously there's going to be some other financial constraints or whatever, but for the most part, we are still the body that can make these decisions. We can decide when our conferences are going to be, how we're going to do this. So we're not losing anything in that way. All we're doing is we have a better support system now because of it. And it's beneficial to them because obviously they have to win in this too. It's beneficial to them because for one, you guys are going to be a lot of times the future leaders. So you're the ones that they want to kind of sell young, when you're, younger in your careers or when you're in these positions, that when you become the administrators, you're the ones that say, hey, UPSEA membership is actually worth it to us. I mean, like you said, you've dealt with them quite a bit.
I would say if you don't know anything about it, it's a really great organization. I've been to their conferences. Our university is very involved with them, and they are thought leaders in online education. And I'm glad to see that they're branching out to this arm because it was a missing piece for them. So I congratulate you on this. I think it's a great move. So.
I'm really excited. One other thing they do is that they actually provide consulting services. And this is something to consider if you're a brand new upstarting group. And one thing I actually really liked about this is that they can bring people in, especially for leadership, administrative, and deans that have never done this before. They provide that as well. But they're considering extending that to our eDesign Shop group, where we can actually now provide consulting services for upstarting groups around the country, which I think all of us can play into. Why not? So really, I'm excited. I think that there's a lot of potential here. But of course, we're willing to field any questions that you're not willing to voice at this time. Email me. You guys, for the most part, have my email. If not, it's on the website. But we'll wrap it up there.
Any last questions? We want to make sure we do get to all of them in case.
So, good question. Obviously, there's going to be some transition time with websites and all that other stuff. So officially, I believe the contract that we signed was for May 1st is when things will start to go. And they wanted to give us time to be able to have this conference, field questions, and set things in place for when things start to transition. So May 1st is our day.
Any other questions?
Yeah. Good. Well, that's a question I can't quite answer. I think we're still in the process of trying to figure it out. I know what we'd like to do. I'd like to keep it at universities. I'd like to be able to go to our different institutions and see what we do. And we mentioned that with UPSEA. So I think it's only fair maybe next year to do a West Coaster or somewhere near that, kind of switch it up or at least go somewhere else. So if you are interested in hosting, Jail do it. Okay. Come talk to me and we'll talk about the logistics behind all of that. Obviously, we have a new body to work with, so we'll have to consider that as well. But I'm excited. again, the date and time are yet to be determined at this time. We'll let you know as soon as we know.
Just saying the Midwest is nice too.
Yep.
Any other questions?
Great. Well, thank you all again. Safe travels, and we'll be in touch. There's lots to be able to process here, so thank you. Yay.